All right. Good evening, people of Earth. This is Thinker St. James here, along with my good friend Chase Parton. And this is the Free for All, where we go over all of the comedy and the tragedy in the world of mixed martial arts, because this sport never sleeps, and neither do we. Chase, how are you, brother?
I am very good. If you guys didn't know, it's been a while. Free for All is back, and I am very excited to get into some topics. But first, I have to make sure, Thinker, you have not been on social media today, much at least, correct?
I mean, not any more than normal, but I've been intentionally staying away. A lot of these stories, I'm sure that there's a couple I might have heard about, some that I might have not, but I'm always very happy to be exposed to new and interesting things from around the sport that I might have missed. So you are very good at getting those kinds of stories.
Oh yeah, I got some good ones for you. Some of these you should already know about, but we will definitely get into some that I'm excited to break the news for you on.
Absolutely. And of course, people out there, this is your show too. Make sure that if you are in the chat that you're active. We will see what you guys are talking about, respond to you guys as well, put some of your comments on screen, make it interactive for you as well in ways that we can't get to in other shows that we do. So appreciate y'all being here. And Chase, I mean, anything else that you wanted to talk about before we get into these stories? Because I know that there is always something going on.
No, I think I am good to go. I'm ready to roll.
All right. Well, I'm going to make sure I got the chat up here, and I'm going to make sure that I bring up the blank Google screen. Of course, why does it keep doing that? It defaults to the other view. But anyway, here we are. We're back. Johnny the God is here as well. Appreciate you, Johnny. And as you all know, if you see the blank Google screen, that is the start of this thing. So Chase has a whole bunch behind the scenes that he is going to be bringing up for us one by one. So take it away, Chase Parton.
All right. Well, this one is the newest kick. Obviously, we are a UFC duo. You know, the UFC is what we cover mainly, and that's where we're going to start this show. So, this is breaking news, but I would be hesitant to believe such. Let me not get you too excited. I don't want you to be all up in arms about this one, okay? Because this one's
Okay.
pretty crazy.
All right.
Mackenzie Dern is defending her title against Gillian Robertson, at UFC 330. What are you thinking initially off of this?
So yeah, okay, this is one that I did see. Initial thoughts are that Mackenzie Dern needs to defend. Gillian Robertson has been doing some pretty good work. I've been a fan for a while. She's got a great record as far as finishes goes, and she's got a look to her. So I think that this is a pretty sellable fight. I think it's a little strange that it's not Zhang Weilei. I don't understand exactly why that is, but perhaps injury, perhaps other behind the scenes stuff. Do we know why this is the fight?
I am not positive on why anything. I don't know what's going on with Waylay. We will actually bring her up later. Maybe there's some other reasons that she's not competing, for this one and for another one. But either way, the point is that I want to make. The only thing that I would like to bring up is this guy Magic MMA. I don't know if you are familiar. This is the same person who reported that Miss Montenegro was out because of period cramps.
Ah, yes, indeed.
So I've seen some things that he's posted, and it's sometimes it's a little off the wall, just like everybody. Of course, we all have our characters or whatever. But I am not sold on this being true just because of it's not all business when it comes to this account. Let me just say it that way.
Well, yeah, and this is just goes to a broader issue that we've talked about many times, and that just seems to continue to be prevalent in the space. We talk about it a lot with Crazy Kev. I mean, he kind of became a little bit of a poster boy for it, but it's not just Crazy Kev. I mean, like, like again, Kev kind of is a an embodiment of a lot of the things that people don't like about how news is broken in the sport. So he sort of takes a lot of the brunt. But it's him, it's Ruben, it's other accounts like this that sort of find information or get some secondhand information, half truths, and then that gets ran with and just becomes the narrative until we get something different. And I'm not like, what would be nice is if there was a better pipeline of actual information so that we're not all sitting here scrambling to try to get crumbs of information from either the fighter's second cousin or some other, less than reputable outlet. But this, I guess, just is kind of the nature of the beast. I don't know. What do you think about that aspect of things, Chase?
It is unfortunate that there are so many different people who believe that they are the person to break the fight news. I think it's kind of weird that there's so many people with their hands in the pot when it comes to that stuff, and not even people who are in the loop, but people who want to believe that they're in the loop, or they make speculations and they're just completely off basis. When Hamzat lost, they came out and said like, oh well, he was looking to go up and fight Yuri. It's like, okay, so there was some validity in what Crazy Kev was saying, but he just jumped the gun way too soon and obviously looked like a fucking idiot. So
Right.
it's crazy to believe people on the internet these days in general, and especially in today's day and age. Everybody is a part of somebody's camp. Everybody knows everybody, man. They're the closest friends with everybody that you think is the biggest fighter that you know. Whatever you want to say, it's just always too good to be true. But the thing is, and I've seen this before, and Full Violence has gotten caught up plenty of times posting stuff. But
Yeah.
this is the Full Violence official page. They reposted this. They got too if it's wrong. But what can you say?
And
If it's an official outlet like that, like somebody who's licensed to do deals with the UFC fighters and stuff, gets it wrong, okay,
that
we all got gypped.
that was literally my point, is that it's like, at least, Full Violence is involved with fighters at a deeper level because they're an official merch outlet for a lot of them. So it's like, we're all in that same boat apparently. Again, this kind of speaks to the power structure, and I know I constantly always go back to these same kind of talking points with power in the sport and everything, but you've got the organization at the top of the food chain drip feeding information as they see fit, everybody else trying to also get their own business going, so to speak. I mean, with this Magic MMA or whatever else, it's like he wants eyes on his platform as well. He's trying to build his own brand, and it's just a kind of, it's a little bit of a feeding frenzy as far as like where information comes from, who gets to be the one to say I was first, et cetera, et cetera. This is also a big reason why you never see myself or Chase doing this, I would suspect anyway. Like, I never want to get caught up in this world. This is not like the style of thing that I want to be a part of.
And I've went over this plenty of times, and there's nobody who can really answer the question. I agree with you 100%. It's not something that I'm personally interested in, because what do you gain from being the first person to say that that fight is potentially announced or whatever?
Oh,
Like what?
clout.
But like in a like, but
Yeah, who gives a fuck, right? Exactly.
again,
Clout for the
oh my
clout's
god,
sake,
he's
I
the guy.
guess.
He's the guy who broke the fight news first. But we know he's just the guy who sits on Twitter. Like, it's not like, oh,
Right.
we know he's like Hamzat's best mate who broke the fight. It's like, it's just Crazy Kev.
Well, I
Like,
mean, the
so.
idea, I guess, would be that if you can become a reputable source, then people go to you more, you get more views equal more money down the line, et cetera. Could be, at least. But I don't know what, I'm not trying to pocket watch any of these guys. I don't know what their finances are like.
Yeah, no, but it is definitely not my cup of tea. But hey, hats off to them if this one is correct. I mean, we'll just go on the basis that it is correct. Fight is made, I guess. We're heading to, what is it, Philadelphia? I think, yeah, Philadelphia. And I don't know, who else are you thinking is going to be on this card? Is maybe my next question here. I would say Joe Pfeiffer's got to end up on it, even though he said he doesn't want to be on it unless he's the main event. Not happening, brother. Be on the Philadelphia card. Be in kind of your home region, just like some other people. Would also like to see Sean Brady come back. If he can make a quick turnaround, he made some quick light work of Buckley. Go ahead, come back in Philadelphia. Any other ones before I spoil my other guesses?
I mean, not specifically. I'm sure that they'll have a good smattering of Philly guys, plus a bunch of others. I also agree that Piper's probably not going to main event. I mean, especially if this is a title fight, that this is going to be that will take precedence over, unless he's getting a title fight, which I think that would be a little bit wild to be that close at middleweight when we just had that fight last. So yeah, I don't have any other specific names in mind. I could say a couple of fights that I think should be on there as well. I think if you're going to have a women's title fight, you probably want to have a men's title fight on there as the actual main event, but that's just maybe a little bit of bias, perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, so the question really is, I mean, is it going to be Islam versus who? What are you thinking? Is it going to be Morales? Ian Gary is definitely another option that people are really heavily leaning towards for the headline of this card specifically. So, I mean, what are your thoughts? Islam back in America?
Yeah, I'm good with Islam back in America. I think that everybody wants to see Islam defend again at some point soon. I mean, sooner than later. I've been hearing the rumblings about him being such an inactive champion and all this kind of stuff. And the more time that elapses, the more that becomes true. So yeah, I think that it's definitely about time. I mean, you had Carlos Prates out there, saying the quiet part out loud in his interview. Oh, I'm taking the winner of Ian and Islam, and it's like, well, brother, we haven't talked about that yet. So I think that it should be, sure. Yeah, absolutely. I like, get that, or I mean, we have Piotr Jan, still recovering, I guess, or, had surgery not too long ago. He should be getting closer to recovery. I'd like to see Piotr Jan defend.
No, absolutely. There's some good options out there. I'm sorry, the chat is making me laugh. We do got to give some.
Of
Let's go
course.
ahead. Stop. Let's stop for a second. Beeb, really funny comment, by the way. 10-7, shout out you. TJF, shout out you. Johnny the God, one more time. Shout out you, brother. Appreciate you guys.
Well, 10-7 saying that Morales has posted that he's going to be the next champ and posted the Philly dates. I mean, you think that he's just trying to wishful thinking his way into that shot?
I think yes. I think they're both doing it. Him and Ian Gary, they're both like, it's set. I'm gonna be the guy because they're confident. I mean, you got to be confident. You can't just sit there and be like, oh yeah, he's Morales is gonna get it. But it's gonna be interesting. To be fair, in my personal opinion, I could see Islam not fighting at this card. I think everybody will get their hopes up that Islam's gonna return kind of relatively quickly for what he normally does, I would say. So I don't know if he's going to. I don't know if he's going to be this main event because the next story, of course, and this maybe isn't going to be the main event because there's not going to be a title on the line or anything. But
oh, actually, just sorry before you move on
I'm
from this.
sorry.
No, that's okay. All right, never mind. We'll move on then.
Yeah, my bad. DDP is
Okay.
going to make his return. So what are you thinking? He's not going to come to do Philadelphia, but where do you think DDP is going to go ahead and return?
Why would he not come to do Philadelphia?
Well, he's not going to be the co-main event under the women, is what I would say.
I mean, at
DDP's
this
got to
point,
be.
he would be a featured fight. Why? I mean, unless he's getting title shot, unless they're going for the trilogy.
Well, the thing is that there's been rumblings that he's going to be fighting Usman next. So I would not say that's going to be your opening main card kind of deal. That's going to be a co-main event with a title fight on top of it, I would say. And probably.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess that does kind of throw a little bit of a wrench in there. No, yeah, I mean, look, Usman at the stage in his career that he is at, Dricus, having to come back after a pretty firm loss there and a lot of time off. I'd be okay if you had the two title fights above that and that was the featured. Actually, that sounds like a pretty good main card if you have that and two banger fights underneath it.
I kind of, now that I think about it, I do agree because the thing is, this is going to have to be a 3-round fight. And I think that really sucks because if you somehow get this to be a co-main event and you have a title fight on top of it, I think you could maybe get a 5-rounder out of it. You got to have Usman and DDP for 5 rounds because we saw what Usman was able to do with Hamza. The longer the fight went on, the tide started to turn. DDP, I mean, he's used to fighting 5 rounds at this point. So I think just putting both of them down to 3 rounds with, Usman, kind of his style, I think it's a really grindy fight. You got to have those extra 2 rounds on top of it. I just think that would be, I don't know, it's crazy.
Extra 2 rounds that end up being a repeat of Hamzat and DDP with Usman on top instead.
No, that would not. Come on, let's be real. DDP will remind everybody. Come on.
Yeah, well, look, I want to believe that. All right. I'm also in that same camp that wants to believe that. All I'm saying is that if we did see it from Hamzat and Hamzat had problems with Usman, later in that fight. I mean, Usman's not going to come out as aggressively, perhaps, so maybe it'll be a little bit more competitive early. But I mean, eventually in a 5-rounder, Dricus is probably going to start slowing down, and I could certainly see that in the later rounds.
I would really, because if you read this headline, of course, DDP is revealing that his fight's going to be announced within the next week. So I'm really excited to find out what it's going to be. And when we talk about the picks, I really hope you take Usman, brother. Like I seriously do. I'm not saying it's going to be DDP coming out here and just dominating, of course, but DDP is going to make sure to remind everybody that he was the champ and defended his belt against Sean Strickland 2 times. Like, come on, like come on,
True.
let's be real.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm sure that does track. I mean, obviously he was a champ for a reason. I was always pretty high on Dricus on his come up, so I don't think that there's any reason to think that he's going to come back and be a bum or anything like that. I mean,
True.
so yeah, but we'll see. I mean, if that is what is announced, then I'd be happy for it. And really, I'd also be happy if it is Usman, only for the fact that Usman is in this weird like middle gray area where he's got 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It feels like at all times he's saying, "Oh, I want to make this run. I want to do this." He's on the podcast. He's inactive. It's like, what make your fucking mind up, dude.
That's the key thing too, is because we were just talking about this division at 170. If Usman leaves, that takes off the table that there's going to be a legacy fight for Islam soon. If he can get the Usman fight, he beats him, that adds a lot to his legacy, considering he's always been fighting featherweights and people who are on short notice. He beats Usman on full camp. Boom, Islam solidifies himself as better than Usman. Like that's just how people would see it. But if
Eh,
DDP gets the Usman fight, then Islam is probably fighting Ian or Morales. I mean, I know those are the obvious choices, but having Usman floating around there, it always makes you think like, God, would they really do it just like they did with Stipe and John, just like they did with all these other legacy fights, like, oof, I don't know.
yeah, I am certainly not a fan of the legacy fight when the fighter who the person is making the legacy off of is on the, farther down tail end of their career, so to speak. I think that it does not do the thing that they are thinking that it does for their, for the legacy, in my opinion. I mean, obviously the Stipe fight was a perfect example of that. Yeah, congratulations, John. You really did it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know if that's really what he wants and he can command that. I think that that's also the big difference, is that like even Islam Makhachev, even as potentially pound for pound #1 in the world or close to it, depending on how you see it, I don't know if he has that kind of pull within the organization, because John certainly did at the time. I know it's crazy to say, but John occupied a very specific space within the landscape. You know what I mean? Like, and what the organization thought about him. I don't think they think the same way about Islam.
It's not about Islam. It's about the manager. Think about it. Ali Abdelaziz, man. How many times is he able to pull something off that you're just like, why are these two fighting? And then you find out that they're managed by the same fucking dude, and it's Ali Abdelaziz.
Yeah.
It's Edmund Shabazian is now fighting Brendan Allen, who unranked, versus the dude who was rightfully just beat the dude who's gonna fucking fight for the whatever you want to say, brother. It's just crazy to me that I think it's totally possible that if listen, at this point it's narrowed down to the two people for Usman finally to fight. Like I don't know what takes him so long, but it's narrowed down. I still think Islam's still on the table, but if it's not, it's probably DDP. So I don't know. Final thoughts on that, chat? Does anybody else think? I mean, Johnny the God is predicting that DDP is going to beat Usman by a close 48-47 unanimous decision, and DDP ends up fighting the winner of Strickland versus Imavov too. One thing I will say, Johnny, thank you for adding the 2 at the end of Strickland and Imavov, because people are just throwing it out there like, oh, Imavov deserves the shot. It's like, guys, he got finished, like not finished, but he got beat on short notice by Sean Strickland. Like, deserving is a very tough word for the guy who just sat out of his title shot. Like, whatever
Yeah,
you
but I
want to
mean,
say.
what he's gone on to do. I mean, like
I
I think that
I
it still
agree.
tracks.
I agree. I'm not saying it's just it puts him in a weird position because you had a title shot, brother. So don't act like you need to fucking have this Sean
Well,
Strickland rematch. But
yeah,
you know,
well, I mean, we want to talk about these carousels at the top of the divisions in general right now. I mean, we talk about it all the time at a light heavyweight. I mean, you've got a terrible situation at the top of that division. So you only have so many options unless you're doing the Khalil Roundtree #10 jump up to title shot. You know what I mean? And I'm not even opposed to that if there is a person that it makes sense to do. But like, if not, you only have this roster, you've only got these 5 to 6 names. You know what I mean? Like, what are you going to do? You're going to be pulling out from, give an unranked guy a title shot. Why not? Get the next Kai Asakura in here from, fucking, Timbuktu and give him the title shot.
I think you're cooking. I'm not going to lie. These are great options, but I don't know. Are there anything else you would like to say about middleweight and welterweight, or if you wanted to go back to your thought that you had a minute ago that we
Oh
cut
well,
you
no.
out
I
of, I
mean, I
apologize.
was just gonna ask, like, if the Dern and Robertson fight is the fight, how do you think that goes? Because I saw that. I also wanted to bring this up, Johnny the God again, saying, I'm guessing that Weili is sitting and fighting the winner of Dern and Robertson and might headline UFC Shanghai. I'm like, if that's the case, that not bad, But we did see Horiguchi having this nice epic run, and now not going to be headlining UFC Japan, so where
As
like I'm not buying that anyway, and then that takes me back to the other fight. So
we will definitely get back to the UFC. I'm sorry, back to the Waylay where she's going to compete next discussion. Just keep that on the back burner. But
sure.
when it comes to the Robertson and Mackenzie Dern, a quick brief analysis. What I would say is Mackenzie Dern accepts the bottom position. Gillian Robertson is a very aggressive top control. Fucking well, she's going to take her down, hold her down, and she goes for that might be the thing. The chink in her armor is feeling like she could get the sub. She's good. The TKO will be valid, but they're going to give Mackenzie Dern all the time in the fucking world to get up. But if she gets an ego and goes for a sub, I don't know if she'd get it on Mackenzie Dern, and then she would end up she would go for like an armbar or something, and then end up on the bottom, and you'd be like, oh, god damn it, why'd you do that? But I think for the most part, Jillian's going to just control. That's the problem. It's like we already saw Mackenzie Dern win a fight off of her back that really wasn't necessarily that dominant of a performance off of her back. So if she can replicate that in theory, it's like, oh well, she can win again. But Jillian hopefully has got a little more to offer. But we'll
Well,
see.
do you think we will see a return of the 12-6 to the asshole?
I hope so, brother. That is one of the more iconic things. I mean, talk about signature moves. You ever talk to like, dude, finishers in WWE? I mean, she's got one that you would never think about. Like that one is crazy. She just pulls that one out the bag. Yeah, I love it. Absolutely.
Sure. I mean, we got that, and we need to see another camel clutch. I mean, that's Jimmy Crute needs to make his big return.
Absolutely. Well, we got a suplex from what's Garule too, man. We've
I
been just living in it.
I didn't say it on the podcast, but during the watch along, I said it was Warrior-esque.
There you go.
Remind me very much of our dude Tommy from Warrior.
Hell yeah. No, absolutely. We could go down the line of great
Sure, of
suplexes,
course, of
but
course.
what we cannot do is go well. In this day and age, I
Oh,
could go ahead. Go
one
ahead.
last thing. I just had to throw this in here. Johnny the God coming in again. Do you think Piper for the title shot?
Yo, absolutely. Listen. I threw it out there. It is because Sean Strickland, he's going through some surgeries or whatever he's got to do now, and he's got a broken nose. August is a little gracious, I would say, at this point, but we'll definitely see. I said that in the Discord, and I was just joking. I don't think they'll give it to him, but you got to be like Joe Pyfer, Dana White loves that guy, so why not?
So you'd be thinking interim?
No, no, no,
Oh,
not
okay.
interim.
You're was waiting for Strickland to heal up.
Yes,
No, okay,
yeah, for
gotcha. Yeah,
sure. Yeah, I mean, god damn, if they did a fucking interim,
that would
Imavov
be
and fucking,
ridiculous.
dude, how many interims would be on the fucking table in the UFC if that shit happened, brother? Holy
It,
crap!
your body can't hold up. It's no more belt. Sorry, guys. You
Yeah,
win it, and
yeah,
it's off to the next guy.
but yeah, so Jesus Christ, yeah, that is crazy to think about if Joe Pyfer ends up getting an interim title shot against Imavov or something. Holy crap! But
Yeah, no fucking way.
either way, when you say no fucking way, that brings me into this next topic
All
because
right.
this one's crazy. I was going to say this is something that we don't see very often, but in today's age, we see this very, very often. And I don't know if you knew there is a Adin Ross. You know who this guy is, of
I
course.
do.
There is I don't know if it's boxing or mixed martial arts, whatever it is. There is an event that is going down that he is hosting at the Meta Apex. There are some celebrities that are competing in it. I don't know if you knew of this one that is. I found out and I thought it was very, very funny to share. The singer Ray J is going to be competing in this Adin Ross brand promotion. Jesus, I can't talk. But in this video, you're going to see, quote unquote, Ray J choking out the Giorgio Polios guy that Armin has beef with that are now pals, best friends. I don't know. So we'll go ahead and watch this. Maybe it's a little fluky. but because like it's Ray J, bro. You can clearly see the gap in the fucking like. You can see like
Well,
right
yeah,
here.
and obviously he's aware that he's getting choked. I mean, this isn't like he just got, like they're not in competition. Obviously, they're standing outside by a pool.
So we will see just how good of an acting job this potentially is going to
All
be.
right,
Let
selling.
me sound is ready. Is everybody ready? All right,
I think
everybody got
we're
their
good.
popcorn. Good.
Right. At this level, if you were to do we call it a backpack. If you were to do this, I'd freaking.
It just fall down.
You can pull them into your lap, yeah.
Oh shit. See?
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Stay down.
No, I'm good. That's a good luck. That's a good luck.
Told you.
Joking?
I'm not
Come
joking.
on, Ray.
Told you, bro. Just walking off like super hot fire over here. Yeah, told you.
Wait a minute. Do you not know?
Do I not know what?
His opponent is super hot fire.
You got to be kidding me right now. I
Wow,
did not
feel
even see that. That's hilarious.
Yeah. So his opponent this weekend is going to be super hot fire. Yes.
Oh my lord! And this
so
is in
you talked
boxing,
about what are you
correct?
going to do Saturday? I mean, I think it's MMA, bro. Yeah, it's MMA debut. Yeah, literally.
No,
MMA
this is an
debut.
MMA event. This brand
What?
risk is doing an influencer MMA event. Oh my lord!
It's
is
called
this gonna be
Brand
on Parent?
Risk. It's called Brand Risk 14 in the UFC Apex. Ray J is going to fight Super Hot Fire, and Anderson Silva's son is going to compete as well.
Ah, Baby Spider. Yes. I mean, where is this airing? Do we know? Is it on
I
Kick
have
or
no
something?
idea. It probably is going to be something like that, DAZN or something. But as you saw, Giorgio just got choked unconscious by the R&B singer Ray J. What are you thinking?
Ray J's got to be 40 years old at this point, does he not? I mean, like he's not a young guy. I remember
He's
Ray J.
45 years old. Holy
That's
shit!
what I was gonna
Thinker is
say.
really on one today, guys.
Oh,
Thinker
dude, I mean, like, I knew him from fucking Moesha. I knew him from back in the day when he was just Brandy's little brother. This is wow. Yeah, no, well, this is why I love the free for all, Chase. You bring things to me that leave me fucking speechless over here. Okay, so 45-year-old Ray J versus Super Hot Fire in MMA. I mean, do either of these guys train at all? Is that the only thing we've ever seen of either of them doing MMA? I mean,
I know I didn't read this off to you, but guys, if you didn't know, Ray J is being trained by an MMA coach, Eric.
He's working with Al Barracine. Oh, that's Henry's guy. I mean, okay, like it's not nothing. Yeah, see, it's a little hard for me to read the text.
You're fine. I should have read it off to you.
No, you're good. You're good. How much has Super Hot Fire been training?
He might be in good shape, man. Yeah, 10-7. I am too young to know Moesha. Yes,
big facts. Yes, indeed. 10-7 knows though. We're of that same era.
This whole thing is bringing a lot of questions. I think looking into the whole fight card when we get closer to the day to figure out who's actually all competing and all this other stuff is going to be interesting. But this is actually going to stay on the same topic, but I think the next portion, this had nothing to do with this post itself, but I think it is great context in reference to what this MMA promotion is going to be.
Okay.
And I kind of caught a stray of it, and I'm like, this dude really kind of cooked maybe, or I'm just curious. So this tweet right here, let me see can I make this bigger for everybody? There we go. Okay, now you can see it a little better. So our guy named Tilly the OG, genuine question. Why doesn't anyone's sorry. My apologies. Let me start with the first portion of it because yes, it is a response.
Okay.
From Alex something. Lots of cope on Twitter that Rousey Carano was a success, which is fucking weird. MMA needs more promotions to continue the growth of the sport. Now, This person in response, this was a great question. He said, genuine question. Why doesn't anybody say this about any other sport? Nobody says the NFL needs more leagues to grow football. NBA needs more leagues to grow basketball. MMO needs more leagues, blah, blah, blah. Only the UFC. Why is that? Besides people's hate for Dana. Now, that last part is definitely, like they got some built up something because they think everybody's out to hate Dana White. But I do think the question is valid. Like, and then when you go to back to this, is like, is this the type of growth for MMA that we are wanting with all of these other promotions?
Yeah, no, you beautiful setup, Chase. I love the structure of all of how you presented all of this. Okay, what I would say is the reason that MMA has that dynamic is because it's not a team sport. It is personality and personally based, number one. Number two, I think that it's also because the major promotion, the UFC, operates in a structure that is unlike those other sports that were mentioned there. There is no fighters union, no athletes union for these fighters to be represented by. They're essentially independent contractors, but are not treated as such. And thus, you have this weird dynamic where all of the power is in the organization's hands, and very little of it is in the athlete's hands. It's also the sport where the athlete. What is something beeping?
I think it's my washer. I'm sorry. I
No,
apologize,
okay.
guys.
So, yeah, no, just making sure that it wasn't going crazy. No, so the other part of it is just that that like there's no collective bargaining. There's no health coverage for the fighters. There's a lot of different. The dynamics are different for the athletes in those other promotions, and you have like a relationship that is very lopsided. Where I think that even if it is still somewhat lopsided in those other organizations, it's better for the athletes. The money is certainly better for the athletes. And it just feels like that there is not the representation for these fighters. It's also, again, goes back to the percentage of the money that is paid out to the athletes when it comes to the UFC. So I think that what people are trying to say is not necessarily that these other promotions are going to be major competitors that are going to challenge the UFC in a way that's going to like take away the dominance. It's just to show that like if the UFC does not get itself in line and give the people what they want, give the fighters the deals that they deserve, that there are other that like eventually things might change for them, I guess, is really what it is. I hate to say that because I would like more. I mean, I think that there is plenty of landscape beyond the UFC in this sport, again, because it's an individually based sport. Fighters can go fight in other organizations, go fight in different locations around the world, all that kind of stuff. You can't really do that in other team sports, or even in other singular sports like tennis. Maybe tennis is actually the better example where maybe there are like different leagues, and golf might be another example of that. But you see that in there, like, you had that live golf versus the PGA for a little while or whatever. Like there is competition in other spaces. So I don't know. All of those things coalesce, I think, into why this conversation is the way that it is.
So, and then the last thing that I would say is like, what do you think about this last one? Assuming that it is true that people hate Dana and they are just begging for more mixed martial arts promotions to just overthrow the UFC. Like, where does I mean, obviously not where does it come from, because I can understand plenty of hatred towards Dana White and the things that he's done and the way that he runs his business, but the fact that people just don't want if this is true, it's like the idea is like they don't want the UFC to succeed. They want something like the PFL to succeed because they have an owner that's nice, clean cut, and he does things the right way. But it's obviously at the expense of the audience and the entertainment that the consumers get to enjoy. So what are your thoughts here?
Well, I mean, you kind of nailed it. I mean, when someone says, why is that what it is when it comes to hatred of Dana White, my answer would be look at the root causes. I mean, it's not like people are just like saying, I don't like the guy's face. I mean, I'm sure that there is some of that, but like, it's really the action. Yeah, right. There you go. I mean, it's the actions that really dictate that. It's the treatment of the fighters, and it's the treatment of the audience. I mean, look, I can't play it. I don't think it'll come up on stream here, but I have on here the did that come through?
Nope,
No? Okay. It's the clip of Dana White saying, "Shut the fuck up and watch the fights." You know what I mean? It's like,
nice.
Yeah, you're treating us like you're treating us like you take our viewership for granted, which you do a lot of the time. I mean, we're going to watch the fights. You are the big dog in town or whatever, and I think that's partially it. Then you talk about the PFL or other organizations like it. Why can't they get bigger names and get bigger, like actual fights of substance? Pipeline is to the UFC. So, I mean, like, I think that what people are saying is that if there's a more even playing field across the board with some of these other organizations, then, there might be, again, competition breeds better quality product. I think that the team-based stuff is a little bit more difficult for that, but it could still be valid for those other sports too. It's just that's their sports and that's the way that their sports operate. So maybe their fan bases aren't talking about it, but I think it's a valuable conversation in MMA.
Well, the most valuable conversation in MMA is obviously this next thing that I'm going to show you, because it really does. There's a pipeline here, of course. You get to see these rinky-dink circus acts when it comes to, the MMA promotions that we're going to see Adin Ross put on most likely. And, that there was a portion of this chain, I believe it's something like a Jake Paulify something, I believe is what he said. But I think that's a great thing, because we're getting, when it comes to the UFC, there's also examples of the Jake Paulifying stuff being introduced. And if you didn't know, Steve Garcia is a big fan of it. So here's his impression of Josh Hokett.
What you gonna do when Hokett and Garcia coming for you, fool? What's up, fool? You know what I mean? The Vato. The down Vato's back on me. See if I don't know if I look. This is a golf sweatshirt, not a bandana. What's up, fool? We're over. What's up, Vato? What's up, fool? We're over here at the White House. What are you gonna do? Josh is crazy. Josh is crazy. Am I right? What you gonna?
That was it. There you go.
Spot on. 10 out of 10. Yeah, no, I think that really, I'm glad that you put this next. I mean, stuff like this, I think, is also a big part of why people want the competition as well. I think that there is certainly a contingency that leans into the Hokett, and that kind of stuff, the Jake Paulification, perhaps.
Mhm.
And then there, I think, is also a very vocal percentage of the fan base that wants nothing to do with that kind of stuff. Just give us good fights. We don't need all of this other bullshit.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, Johnny the God here. For me, mixed 70% and hate 30%. I like, or wait, 70% you hate, 30% you like. Holy shit. But there's tons of reasons why I hate Dana, because he doesn't look exciting to promote or announce UFC fights with low effort, which pissed me off. True, facts. But the thing is like, gosh, how could you hate it that much? Like, he controls like such a small portion of what the UFC is at this point. Like, he is there, and after the fights, he gets on the booth and talks, but he said, quote unquote, he's not involved with the negotiations, whether that portion is true or not. I mean, the entertainment factor. I mean, if you are hating 70% of what the UFC is, it's like, how is 50% already not just enjoying the fights? I'm just like, there's too many things. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I mean, that it goes to show that Dana is just, I mean, he's a figurehead, but the problem is greater than him. I mean, Dana gets a lot of the brunt because he puts himself in the position to be the mouthpiece for all of this. But it really goes down. It's the Paramount deal, really, seems to be the thing that has been the big turning point as far as I've been seeing. I mean, quality of the cards, not great throughout the year, I would say, certainly not as good as they have been at other times. I speculated about this before the Paramount deal, saying that now since there's no pay-per-view incentive, where is the incentive to make great cards, to make the best fight the best and all of that? I mean, it seems to be kind of coming true a little bit. I mean, maybe not 100%. We also, the White House card, I think, throws a lot of a wrench into everything as far as the quality overall, consistency wise, for the number of events. But I mean, it's the quality issues that you yourself deal with, Chase. When it comes to the playback and things like that. It's treating the fan base that the viewership is just inherent, so we don't have to really try very hard. It's AI being used in the fucking promos now. I think about all the jobs that are getting cut from that. I mean, that's something that's very personal to me. I mean, I know plenty of amazing graphic artists that I mean, not specifically in the organization, but just in general, AI coming for a lot of jobs when everybody hates it. It's those kinds of things. And I mean, I'm kind of spitballing off the top of my head, but if I went and sat down and wrote you out a list of all of the problems, I think it would be pretty long. And I think most of them are reasonable complaints.
No, I absolutely agree. And you said it at the beginning, and you touched on it a little more, that there's a bigger root of the problem when it comes to Dana at the top. He's a figurehead. He's, he came out and said that he's not too much into politics. We're about to talk about this White House event.
Sure.
And so, so this is following this pipeline here. Is like, you see Steve Garcia here with his CGI White House in the background. Now, everybody is assuming that the biggest and best names, the biggest, the most powerful people, Epstein's list is going to be at the White House. Everybody assumes that. I'm here to break the bad news to you, because secrets are spilling out. If you don't know, guys, Chelsea Green, who is, WWE's finest, she is going to be at the White House event. She's going to be at the Fan Fest. She's going to be, her character is having the secret Herbis. She's literally going to be behind the lines here at the event 100%. I can guarantee it. And she's facing criticism for it, so she made a post that she's just doing her job, supporting the community or whatever. And so my thing is that this is all just one big gimmick. Once again, like, these are not going to be powerful people. These are just going to be the biggest stars, quote unquote, that you think. Like Chelsea Green, I say that name and you're like, who the hell is that? It's like, if you know WWE and you know TKO, shit, you're in line for the secret Herbis, brother. I'll tell you that.
I have no fucking clue what a secret Herbis is. But regardless, I mean, I think that when it comes to the fan fest, I don't think that that's the actual event proper, though. I think
no, but I bet she's still going to be there, though. She just listen. TKO is going to be all over this. This is going to be another marketing gimmick on top of it. The people that are going to be at the event are the people that you would click on Twitter. It's not going to be people that you've never seen that are the billionaires like fucking Steve Ballmer. Nobody's going to click on a fucking Twitter page that has Steve Ballmer on it. He already makes all his money and it doesn't even fucking matter. Chelsea Green's there, though. Now they're going to fucking start clicking on the shit. I'm just saying.
Look, I mean, okay, I'm going to try to make this as non-political as I can, but this is a story that just came out recently that I think illustrates what I'm going to be talking about here. Mm-hmm. If you've been following, I watch Moist Critical a good amount. I'm a big fan of Moist. So I've been following his whole saga with the Trump phone. And it just came out recently that apparently the Trump phone database of potential purchasers has been compromised and like a lot of data has been leaked. What I will say is that this is the president that does the Trump phone. This is the president that did Trump University and Trump Steaks and all of these other gimmicky products that the Trump Bible. People think about that. That is the legitimate thing that he did.
The tribal, yeah, of course.
Obviously, tribal chief, right over. So, is it surprising to you that he gets involved with his good friend Dana White and puts on yet another gimmick at the White House? I don't see like people like thinking that this is something different than that. I don't understand where the thought process is coming from. Yes, it's a gimmicky thing. Yes, it's a spectacle. It's going to be fucking, flyovers with F-14s and fucking, pyrotechnics and big bombastic music and chicks with big titties. I mean, like it is going to be the show that you expect it to be in that regard, I would suspect. But it's not surprising to me that is the case. Why is this surprising to anybody?
I think it should be because, again, people are expecting the people that are behind the scene, the lizard people to come out. Like, they're going to be at the White House sitting front row watching their human cockfighting, whatever you want to say. But, like, no, it's just going to be the same shitty people that you see on your feed every single day. Like, you're going to see Ruby Rose there probably. And you're going to be like, who the fuck is Ruby Rose once again? Like, Chelsea Green's going to be there. I just think that opens the door for more. It says Fan Fest, of course, but like, do you really think she's flying in just to fucking be at the Fan Fest? No, she's going to this fucking event, guys. She's not going to watch it from her hotel room later on. Like, she's going to go there, get all dressed up. Her, fucking Roman Reigns, John Cena's probably going to be there. And these are just people that I can name off the top of my head that are in the same realm as her. When it comes to mixed martial arts and it comes to the UFC, I mean, you're going to get all types of different people who swear they're not political figures, that this is just because they're, for their American tradition, whatever you want to say. But at the end of the day, it's just going to be the same people on social media. You always click to see kind of deal.
It could be. I mean, if it does end up being a bunch of political people as well because of the politics side of everything, that would not surprise. I think it'd probably be a healthy mix of both as far as like actually at the event. Again, I'm not surprised by either of those things. This is what because what I say that to say, like, the president surrounds himself with social media influencers. Like Dana White surrounds himself with these people. These are the people. This is the intertwining of popular culture and politics that has gotten, and really not even politics, popular culture and power structures that have meshed together to become what the overall top down is right now. So none of this surprises me if that ends up being what it is. So yeah, I mean, you'll probably see this lady and you'll probably see Tucker Carlson. You'll probably see Kid Rock. You know what I mean? Like, you know the names, you know the people that it's going to be. I don't know about the actual Rock, Jeremy Hall saying that the Rock will be there. Perhaps
he's got to be. He's been hiding. He's been deflating himself this entire time. He's coming out for the White House. He's going to have his Whataburger for the first time or whatever, and it's going to be good.
Licking his wounds from the Smashing Machine, finally making his first appearance, perhaps. But yeah, but again, none of this is overly surprising to me if that is what it is, because there are reasons for all of this. You know what I mean? Again, you brought up the Dana White interview. I don't know if that's going to be another one that we're going to talk about here when he talked about not being, being sort of liberal or whatever, like all of that. Like, these are also part of the same dynamic. Dana White's still selling fights, be like, it's not about being right wing. I want to, it's for everybody kind of thing. Like, it's power structures, presenting information, being involved with people. It's all like they're all part of the same puzzle, is what I'm trying to say.
Jeremy brings up a great question. What are the odds that Moneyberg is going to be there?
Derek Moneyberg.
Derek Moneyberg, we'll get to it. Do we know if he's going to be there or not? But I can tell you off the top of my head, people like him that are going to be there. Steven Seagal and Frank Dukes. I mean, so is Moneyberg going to make his way, and we're going to have the Three Stooges or what?
I mean, if Moneyberg is out there, then they need to roll out the red carpet for him, and he needs to have an exhibition grappling match in his socks on the lawn of the White House.
Yeah, true. I can't wait for this one. But you know what else I cannot wait for is this next topic that we're going to get into, because this was posted by the official page of Netflix. And while it wasn't my favorite thing, and I personally would not like to see more of it, it appears we're probably going to get more of MMA on Netflix, because 17 million global viewers tapped into the Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano on Netflix, averaging 12.4 million viewers across the triple main event. So what are you thinking here? Are these low numbers or what? I honestly can't tell anymore. They just say million, and I'm supposed to think like, oh, it's a big number, but it's like everybody does 17 or 30 million. Like, everybody does millions now, right? Like, what's the deal?
Yeah, no, I'm not. First of all, I'm not surprised by these numbers either. Second of all, I don't think that this means much of anything, to be perfectly honest. Again, we talked about why this fight was made, why this fight was sold, how this fight was sold. You're not going to be able to replicate the specific circumstances that were this fight or this card. So, I mean, if you think that people are now no MVP and that, just because MVP is putting on another promotion, they're going to watch that again, I think that you're mistaken in that. So MVP is going to have to find something that is comparable to Ronda and Gina. And I don't think that that's something that's readily available. Tell me what the next version of Ronda and Gina is.
I think honestly, because I agree with you, like, for them to get the ball rolling, like, you have one event, it's like, oh wow, they did it. But a second one, to do it again and to do it again, it's a different beast. Obviously, you have to, for a bit in business, the numbers got to keep going up for you to be a valuable, at market kind of deal. So if this was the first event, I think the next thing that you got to do for the second one, while you're waiting for that next calling of a fight kind of deal, because like these are kind of things you have to just know that this is the right moment for, Gina can get in shape, Gina can do that, Ronda's coming back. I think the next one probably going to have to be Jake Paul's MMA debut. I think that's the only thing that's going to get that many people to tune in, because they tuned in for his boxing, they tuned in for both of his boxing matches. I mean, all of them in theory, but when you look at Tyson and when you look at Joshua, I mean, those fucking sold, it seems like. I would say everybody that I know watched that fucking fight and they thought whatever. Different story.
Right. I mean, Tyson selling off of the name, Jake Paul, sellable name, maybe to an extent still. I think his stock has significantly dropped after the Joshua knockout, but probably still can bring some eyes to it if he was doing MMA. Maybe if it's him versus Mike Perry, that might be enough to actually bring people in. Again, I don't think that I think that it's diminishing returns is what I would say. Is like every time you start off with this level at the top, Jake Paul and his MMA debut goes one step down. Then next is one step down after that. I mean, to think that if you had 17 million people, divide that up, how many do you think are actual combat sports fans and are other people who just remember the name, people casually watching, whatever? That number diminishes as well as it goes down. Like, I don't think that you're going to be able to continuously be selling off of like the lower level, as you carbon copy this thing time and time again. I just don't think that it's I don't think it can sustain, not in this way. And also not because of the quality of the card. You and I talked about it on the podcast on Monday. This was not exactly a card that screams hardcore fans need to be tuning in and building a fan base around it. If they want to keep trying to make spectacle fights, they're only going to be able to sell off the quality of the spectacle.
And but those are the people that really are, they buy into stupid shit, like they'll pay extra to go see people that they don't even fucking know fight, because like that's just who people are talking about is fighting. They don't even know who Jake Paul is, but they'll go see him fight Anthony Joshua, and they'll pay $15,000 for a front row ticket, and they're just there to party in fucking Florida for the weekend, whatever.
But how many though? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, because
I
I do
agree.
acknowledge you are right about that. Yeah, certainly that is certainly the case, and certain people will just buy in on random fights or whatever just to have something to do. But
Yeah.
again, are we talking 17 million people? We talking more? I mean, you think like if anybody really wants to take the gamble that there's going to be more viewership for MVP MMA 2, that's a bet I will take.
Yeah, I agree. And of course, Johnny the God makes a great point. The reason 17 million people watch is because tons of people already have Netflix, have Netflix accounts, which is very common that everyone has Netflix. I agree. Mank in the in the Discord, shout out him one more time. He always has said that it's like, everybody's gonna watch it. It's on Netflix. Like, I mean, it's just like that's how it is. Like,
Well,
everybody has Netflix.
And I do want to address that too, because people are like making this out like this is like some kind of like gotcha moment with that. Like, oh, everybody has Netflix, so everybody's watching. Yeah, that's the point, people. It's a free streaming service, or not free, it's a subscription streaming service that you get the fights for free. Obviously, there's going to be built-in viewership because of that. That is why they went there. Like, why this is not some big like gotcha thing when people are saying this. My point is that you'll still have some level of built-in viewership, but it will diminish. And also the other thing too to keep in mind with that is that Netflix controls the information. So I'm not even necessarily buying any of these numbers at all. I mean, they're the one, they don't have to publicly disclose actual legitimate numbers. They can make up whatever they want to say. This could have been 5 million views potentially, whatever. It does. I'm not saying that it is. It certainly could be the accurate number there too. All I'm saying is that, like, yes, Netflix has the platform. That's why they go there. They can continue to do that. And if Netflix decides that they want to keep shelling out money for it, then fine. But I don't think that this is like some kind of like ongoing thing that's going to continuously get bigger. I think it's going to only sustain off of the potential names that they have.
Well, I can tell you that the potential names that they have, one of the fights later on down the line, I would say that, you didn't know them before, and well, at least one portion of the fight you did not know them before, but you know them after. And I would say that there's a valid rematch coming for one of the fights that we're going to talk about. So I would love to give you our guy Phumi, his point of view on the ending sequence. And I do like the quote here because I think it shows he's got a deep bag of knowledge. He's not going to be my Keith Peterson. If you remember Dominic Cruz, smelling like cigarettes and beer or whatever, not going to attack his character or anything like that. But we are going to listen to him. It's a 2-minute clip, so if you'd like me to pause, while he'll finish a thought, we can pause, we can talk about it. So you just make the call, and I'll be at the ready. So
okay.
This is Phumi on the Ariel Helwani show about the ending sequence with the choke. I am excited to hear about this. Let me know when you're ready. If you're
I am ready.
Definitely out before the bell.
Look, he also said that, and then he said he held it for a fraction of a second.
Pause.
Look, like I said, man, he's not going to.
Nice way to sidestep that. I mean, look,
I think Ariel was quoting Herb because there was context to this. So Herb came on the show and he explained his point of view on the situation. So he was quoting Herb saying he was out before the bell. I think that's how that started there. So just for context,
but
go ahead.
That was his moment to counteract that claim, though. You know what I mean? It's like, out before the bell, and then instead of saying, "Nah, bro, I was still in it," he was you played yourself, dude. I mean, like,
I think he's about to do it.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Sorry. Then.
I think yes, you're good.
Because he just kind of sidestepped it. So I'm like, okay, and if he doesn't,
he thought about it for a sec, like I wasn't out, but I think he is going to get into it for a second.
Okay,
so we'll go ahead.
Sorry.
Be my Keith Peterson. I know he's just trying to do his job.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And being a ref in this sport where there's so much going on, it's not easy. So I'm not going to hate on Herb or say Herb Dean is this kind of person or whatever. That's not my job. I'm not going to attack his character or anything like that. But I disagree. And we have angles as well on film where you could see me still fighting the choke as the bell goes off, and where I'm still grimacing as the choke goes off, or as the bell goes off. If I'm grimacing and I'm still fighting the choke at the bell, how am I out before?
What are you thinking, by the way, in that moment, if anything?
Well, I heard the ticker and I was like, I'm good. And I'm telling you, like, he didn't have it. Obviously he had the choke in, but I'm holding that arm to just at least give me a little space to where he can't just fully squeeze and it's a wrap from there. You know what I'm saying? So I'm holding it. I know I have a little bit of space, and man, it sucks because I hear the bell and then I go out. If Herb Dean was right there at the bell to get him off of me, then I'm not out.
I would like to pause. Oh,
Yeah.
perfect timing. the thing that I would like to say to this point as well, and I don't have the clip to go along with this, but Ray Longo, who I'm starting to be a tremendously big fan of, this dude is fucking hilarious. So
Yeah. Oh, he's great.
but he's so real too. Like he was talking about this incident and he was talking about how it's bullshit. When Herb Dean broke up the choke, he grabbed Fumi's hands off of it. So he grabbed Fumi's hands from defending the choke, breaking it up, instead of grabbing the choke hand from the guy choking him out. So milliseconds here, he pulls the guy who's fighting for his life rather than the guy who's choking him out. So go ahead with what you were going to say, but keep that in mind that is also portioned to the context here. Is like Herb Dean literally, for that fraction of a millisecond, stopped him from going, from being the whatever. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think you make a great point with that. Absolutely. Yeah, that's certainly a valid point with this. And I want to apologize to Nkuta here. I mean, I did jump the gun, and I think that he makes a great point with exactly how he described the ending sequence. That was literally my point, is that we're sitting there, we're watching all of the cage side officials looking at the tape. I'm looking at the tape, they're playing the replay of it, and I'm saying, where is the definitive evidence that he ever went out? Herb on this very show says, oh well, you look at the legs, you look at the arms, he's closed his eyes, you can't look at the face. All very valid, except pair it to that, make it applicable to that is what I'm trying to say. Like, I mean, like you're all of what you were saying tracks, but in this context, show me the point and show it definitively, because if you cannot say it definitively, you have no case. This man should have gone to decision.
Yeah, I definitely agree. But we'll continue to hear what else he has to say, because I'm a big fan of this dude. This is why I was saying,
yeah, I like him too.
This dude is making a case for a slot on a Netflix card again, for that rematch. I mean, it's valid. I mean, and he's professional, he's well spoken. I don't have a problem with this dude. I didn't watch the fight per se. But if you guys are thinking that his decision, of course, was there. I don't know if he was going to win, but whatever. He shouldn't have went out. So we'll listen to him more.
You know what I'm saying? And to hold it for an extra 2.15 seconds, not a fraction of a second, but when you put the timer on, an extra 2.15 seconds, when you're already in a choke for maybe about 9 seconds or so, that's a lot of time. That's enough time for you to go to sleep. And it's unfortunate it ended the way it ended, but like the shirt says, I'm the man of the people. I'm the people's champ.
Hell yeah.
New shirt coming out soon.
I like that shirt.
You know what I'm saying?
You make this after the fight? Is this a new one?
I made this after the fight. Ariel, I'll get you one.
I appreciate. Where can people get it?
I don't know where we're going to get it yet.
Okay.
I'm definitely going to put it out there, maybe on millions.co. I'm also going to have my own website, so you'll definitely be able to get it there.
This is good.
I don't know if you can just claim that you're going to have a website, millions.co. I think that might be taken, but that's just
he's partnering with Millions. They partner with a bunch of other guys. But yeah, no, fine. I mean, like, yeah, I think he really goes back to the point you just made. I think he's a very well-spoken guy. I think he makes a very valid point about how this fight ended. I thought that what he said describing the amount of seconds and the seconds of the time he was in the choke all tracks. I mean, I think he's making very good claims here, very solid claims. And I don't think that it is very hard for the average fan to see everything that we see week over week when it comes to the commission side of this sport and be like, yeah, you're right. Sure, of course, I'm going to go with the fighter on this one because the commission fucks up so consistently that, you know what I'm saying? Like, it always goes back to that point with a lot of things where it's like the patterns that you have to recognize. Like, if the commission was so good at their jobs that this was such a rare occurrence, it'd be like, all right, man. I mean, yeah, it sucks that it happened to you like that, but it is what it is. The commission, they do a great job. They're the best at what they do. We consistently, week over week, see commission-based fuck-ups across the sport, not even just in the UFC. Obviously, this is on the Netflix card or whatever. Netflix, fucking regional promotions, anytime. I literally on every broadcast, I'm saying, man, it just goes to show that referee fuck-ups, judges fuck-ups, commission-based fuck-ups are universal to the sport. It's not just at the highest levels. It's easy to go against the commission because they make it easy.
True. But what I will say is that our guy Phumi here, all considered, he has taken his L like, I mean, an L technically, as like he said, he's the people's champ, and there's another clip that I want to play of him real quick that it's a lot shorter, but we said this on the podcast. I remember saying it specifically. I mean, there's no shame in what happened here because we all know it's a little scandalous. And at the end of the day, here's the truth of the matter. We'll go ahead.
Look, at the end of the day, what happened happened, but the people know I won. You know what I mean? For me to do what I did on 9 days' notice, expecting 125, and then to fight at 130 against a guy that beat Mighty Mouse. Come on, man. At the end of the day, I'm a winner, so it's all good. Look.
Love the positivity, man.
Turning lemons into lemonade. I like this guy. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that this is the exact mentality that you should have. I mean, his record, I think he's what, like 12-1 now, right? I mean, like he's
Oh
he
yeah,
doesn't have
yeah,
a-
that was his first loss. Yeah, true, you're right.
It was his first loss, and what I'm saying too is that he's not like super far into his pro career to begin with too. So this is a fine time to take a loss, like he said, against a guy who beat Mighty Mouse. I mean, the levels of competition, all of what he just described tracks perfectly. Like his narrative, I think, is almost enhanced by this at this point. Really, I like how he's navigating all of this. Really, could not be better. I think that he is doing everything exactly right now.
I've said this before about people who are undefeated. You know, it's when you take your first loss, you know, for a lot of people, it's hard to get over, you know, and some people don't understand how they would lose their, you know, lose their O. But when somebody loses their undefeated record and it's really not something to hang your, you know, you like, you did what you did, you know, you might have lost, but it's not like the worst. It's not like you got knocked unconscious. It's not like you went in there and got completely outclassed. You know, Grant Dawson was fucking 20-1 against fucking Bobby Green or whatever. That's not how this happened. You know, taking your first L and it's like some really close razor decision kind of deal. Like it's not the worst thing in the world. Lerone Murphy, he lost his undefeated record. And I have no problem with it. He's undefeated still in some people's eyes, you know, whatever you want to say. So a guy like this, being able to understand, like, that shit don't mean nothing to me. Like, bro, I mean, it is what it is, but I'm going to continue on and do great things past this right here. So I think I really like this Phumi guy. I'm a big fan of him. Hopefully he gets picked up by an organization that we can watch him more consistently, because he seems like he's in this fight game, man. You know,
Yeah,
seems like it.
and you know, I mean, not for nothing, but the there being controversy with the finish and everything plays into the narrative as well. You know, exactly what you're kind of getting at. Like, you know, some people think that he's not undefeated, or he's still undefeated rather, you know, he didn't take a loss or whatever. So it's like, it's not the worst loss that you could possibly have. If he got knocked out, okay, that's a little bit different maybe. But like, you know, this whole situation that he's in and the media tour and all this kind of stuff, I think it plays right into his hands. And I agree. I mean, you know, get him on a card that, that where he can really shine. You know, I think that there could be good things for him in the future.
And yeah, Johnny the God thinks Phumi won as well. And this is a callback of the century right here, because you are totally right. Herb Dean thought Robbie Lawler was out from the Bulldog choke.
Facts.
That was something. You are correct. Yeah. Wow. Great fucking pool. But if you know, I know Thinker was talking about, you know, it's not something about the losses, right? You know, there's big losses that you can take in life, and we're going to talk about somebody here who's taken big losses. But when I talk about a loss in this circumstance, I'm talking about an L. This dude's taking an L right here. This is an L take, and by somebody who you would assume is like, by this time in their life, they've competed in the sport, you know, some would say to Hall of Fame status. You know, I'm not the one to decide that. Obviously, it's maybe going to speak for itself when you see this person, but this is just such an L take that you're going to hear from this person, and you might be surprised. So, chat, give a shout out to Alistair Overeem, everybody. I'm not going to spoil it with the context, but I want to hear this from his mouth to start.
Oh,
so,
no.
Let's actually ask the question, because I don't personally know too much about Alistair. Has he always been somebody who has bad takes? Like, is he a Tito Ortiz kind of deal, or what's going on?
Well, I mean, he is the guy that clearly felt the tap, you know, against Stipe Miocic. So I guess that was a bad take in the moment. Obviously, that did not happen. But yeah, I mean, he's had like some questionable things at times, but nothing that has been like, man, that's egregious, at least that I know of.
Okay, so let's hear him say it. Maybe it'll sound better, but listen, maybe it's a sensitive topic for me too, because we'll get into it. So,
okay,
Alistair Overeem, let's get into it.
Can I ask, how do you think Alex Pereira is going to do moving up from 205 to heavyweight?
That man is an enigma anyways, because you know, he's a kickboxer. So like, have we ever seen him on the ground? Yeah, a little bit on his back, but like, is he even training on the ground? So he's a little bit an X factor. You know, looking at him from the beginning, I wouldn't give him any wins, but apparently he's winning.
Like from the beginning, his entry into
of course,
the UFC.
He's not turning ground. Like, what ground skills does the man have? doesn't have any ground skills. And now, of course, he's trained a little bit ground. But like, in my opinion, you need years of wrestling to kind of be able to deal with wrestlers from UFC. And he's just going in there, 6 months camp. Okay, we had the feud with Adesanya. Yeah, but not really tested on the ground, I think.
Wow, so all of this has surprised you. This legendary run of his has surprised you.
Yeah.
Wow, you didn't see it coming.
No.
And so, do you think he pulls it off against Gunn?
Again, I would think absolutely not, but maybe he would. I don't know.
He continues to surprise.
Okay, so what would you like to say about this? And I said it was a sensitive topic because for me, Alex Pereira is one of the greatest of all time. Like I have compared this dude to Anderson Silva. The way he has made fighters look completely, they don't have skills when he steps in the cage against them, is what it seems. They all just get caught by the left hook, and they all know it's coming. That's the craziest part. And then for fucking Alistair Overeem to come in here. So are you surprised that he was winning? Yep. And you don't think he's going to win anymore? Nope. It's like, oh my goodness, brother. This is this is a dude who has done things that you have not accomplished. And you are just so confident that he's just, I just got it wrong.
Yeah. I mean, to have the flippancy of it that Alistair has here is rather wild. I certainly admit. I will slightly, and I'm only saying very slightly, play devil's advocate here to say that if you go back to the Jan Blachowicz fight, I think that was a lot closer than people remember it being. I think that there might even have been a case for Jan to win that fight. I believe it was a split decision, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
So, I'm just saying that like there may have at times been a little bit of validity to he hasn't been tested on the ground. If he never has to go to the ground, then it's not like, you know what I mean? Like if a tree falls in the forest kind of thing, like you have to be the one to take him to the ground. See, and I see Johnny bringing up Ankalaev. Ankalaev didn't actually really try to test him in that way. I mean, like, we thought that's really, I think, what a lot of people thought when the Ankalaev won is that, he's going to be having to contend with all of this high level wrestling. And that was my big point coming into that fight is that Ankalaev is not even the wrestler that people make him out to be if you really break down his record. But like, so he didn't end up doing that. So we still have not seen it. Like, yeah, if he goes up against a pure jiu-jitsu guy, we're going to have to see if that black belt is valid or not. But like, you can call it selective matchmaking if you want to, but when he's beating everybody in the division, you don't really get to make that claim anymore. You know what I mean? Like he's like, tell me the guy who is going to be the dude to take him down and actually test him on the ground and like really do it though.
I just listen, this is just absolutely hilarious because I have never, this dude, generational hater is what it's got to be. This dude said he looked at every one of Alex Pereira's fights. I didn't think he was going to win any of them. It's like, bro, you got to be the worst fight predictor of all time. You telling me on his debut against a dude that is just Joe Schmo, you didn't think the Glory Kickboxer had a chance. No, it's just he has no ground game against strikers. Again, you want to talk about the grappling, and you're talking about his come up, and you didn't think he was going to win. It's like, okay, he didn't face grapplers, though. I get what you're saying. Like, okay, he doesn't work on the ground game. He does 6 months. Okay, sure. This is what you want to go with. This is what you want to believe. That's fine. But if you're saying you didn't give him any of the beginning fights that he started out with, they were all fucking strikers. You didn't take the striker to like, I don't know, this dude.
And this is coming from a kickboxer. Yeah, he's a kickboxer too. I mean, like this is the crazy thing. It's like, yeah, so the same thing could have been said about you, Alistair Overeem. Like, I mean, were you in there drilling like that? I mean, I guess maybe he was, but
what did jiu-jitsu get you, brother? What did all that jiu-jitsu get you?
Exactly.
All you did was have to fucking pop for steroids. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, for real. Horsemeat Overeem over here has the nerve to be talking about anybody else in the sport, really. I mean, like, yeah, what you got is you got to be the highlight of an uppercut from Francis Ngannou is what you got.
My thing too is like, why is he even on the Ariel show on just a random Monday in May? Like who needed to hear Alistair Overeem's opinion on Alex Pereira? Like seriously, I'm questioning it.
I mean, Ariel just digging for people to have on the show, taking opinions from everybody,
Listen, it's really just, you can't give this dude any advice, brother. Like I know, again, some would say Hall of Famer. I don't know where exactly he stands with it. Pride era. When you come into the merger, whatever you want to say. Alistair Overeem, please just don't talk about Alex Pereira. I know everybody's got an opinion, and you can voice it, whatever. But like, you got to have a little more respect here. this is one of the greatest light heavyweights, middleweights, potentially heavyweights now of all time, brother. And the fact that you're talking about, he was a kickboxer, you're right, and he's talking about doing all this groundwork. It's like, brother, again, it didn't get you anywhere further than just being in the stand-up. And people were better strikers than him, and that's the craziest part too, is like, maybe this is why he needed to work on jiu-jitsu, is because he was a kickboxer that wasn't out kickboxing people. Alex Pereira has no fucking problem on the feet here. So
it's true. Yeah, no, you make good points. You talk about Alistair Overeem being potential Hall of Famer. I would certainly say no to that, except Chris Weidman just got into the Hall of Fame, so we didn't get to talk about that. That was one that happened, because Paramount chops up the fights the way that they do and takes out all the surrounding context. I haven't been throwing those into the podcast as much, but yes, Chris Weidman, Hall of Famer now. So anybody, I guess, maybe is potentially in the Hall of Fame, perhaps.
Yes, but Alistair Overeem bringing up jiu-jitsu is a very key thing to talk about in today's modern era of the UFC, because this is apparently a stat that I did not know, but I'm glad that we get to talk about it. So, jiu-jitsu doesn't work anymore, guys. The last time a UFC fighter won via arm lock or arm bar was over 7 months ago, which was Jafel Filo versus Clayton Carpenter, which kind of crazy to think about. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, sorry. It said 2 names after, but that's just the name of the fight night card. But it's pretty crazy to think about that jiu-jitsu is just fading away. I don't know, guys. What are we thinking?
Logical to me. I mean, I think that that's a logical progression. People train the way that Alistair Overeem was saying that Pereira should be training. People train for all of these positions now. I mean, I say the same thing about your standard head and arm triangle. I mean, like, when was the last time you saw a straight triangle? I think we've talked about that. You can name one, of course, but how many months ago was that? Like, yeah, so an arm bar triangle, like a couple of these things, there's a reason that we're now seeing capsule locks. You know what I mean? Like, there's new and interesting stuff happening, perhaps because all of the standard move set, there's a defense for it. So yeah, I mean, I'm not super surprised by it. I don't think that it necessarily diminishes the importance of having great jiu-jitsu. I think that it's still a very valuable and necessary skill. You need to have that in order to counteract those standard move sets. But this doesn't overly surprise me as far as like that just being a natural way that the sport's going.
I would like to say thank you for bringing up the capsule lock, because that is great. It's obviously one of the first things that we've ever seen in the UFC. It's a new sort of, I mean, now you know of it. It's a new defensive submission kind of deal against somebody who's in their guard. But what I would like to say, and this is just to the jiu-jitsu not working portion, is because, Derek Lewis is one of those guys, just stands up. We've seen plenty of people who just have those moments where they just stop engaging with jiu-jitsu, and it does happen to work, and they're just able to get up out of it. But I would like to tell you, and this is my personal preference, obviously people watched Polyana get submitted, but I, for one, would like to believe before she put her foot into the portion where she was going to get submitted, she was doing one of the best examples of keeping somebody in your guard, because Alice Ardoyan was unable to do anything. She was able to have a little moment where she can get her strikes off, but Polly was, one, with the body lock, making sure she couldn't just stand up and disengage out of her grappling. She was making her have to actually engage. And then she did something stupid, of course. But I think jiu-jitsu is still valid, and I think there are people who know how to do certain things that work for them well, but sometimes jiu-jitsu maybe is just not the best move, because I've seen a lot of people get their head pounded in when they go for these fucking knee bars and shit like that. When you are the highest level of jiu-jitsu, where you think that you could pull off these creative and eccentric type of submissions, I would say that's where you're in the more dangerous position, because you're going to try to pull something that nobody pulls for a reason. And then you're just going to get fucked over,
Yeah, it's mixed martial arts for a reason. I mean, like, you have to have it in the tool bag, but if you think that you're going to be able to rely on that and then pull some flashy shit, it's the same thing about what's his name, a dude who just fought Duho Choi, Daniel Santos, when he's going for all these spinning wheel kicks at range. It's like, yeah, dude, okay, you can do some flashy shit, and that's cool. If it does land, then that's amazing. It could be your highlight there, but what are you risking and what are you sacrificing by doing it? If you don't have the other skill sets to kind of backfill all of that, then you're kind of a sitting duck. And I'm not saying that he was with that. I'm just saying, for an example of like somebody doing something wild, it's like, you can't just be relying on, going to the nth degree with one skill set. You have to have all of them. And jiu-jitsu is just one in many of the arsenal, I would say.
No, I definitely agree. And I love a good jujitsu. Obviously, UFC BJJ is taking place tomorrow. So if anybody's looking to do that, that's a rewatch coming for you guys on Saturday. But BJJ aside, I think this is the perfect time to get back into what I was alluding to earlier. And now it is in a funky spot of the show. I could have brought it up earlier, but this is where we're going to talk about it because it is important to, and this is potentially why we don't have a main event or the correct main event for Philadelphia as of right now, because Dana White has said that he really wanted to get a Chinese fighter on the White House card. I think everybody thought I was going to build a card, America versus the world. We did exactly the opposite, is what he said. America is a country of immigrants. They all came from somewhere else, and they're all going to be represented. I tried to have a Chinese fighter on the card too, but it didn't work out. Obviously, that was probably going to be Wei Li. I would say that was potential. Obviously, not having a female fight on the card still seems weird if it's not going to be Kayla and Amanda. I mean, Wei Li and Mackenzie Dern. I mean, that doesn't sound too far off of what we could have gotten. But I think this also potentially is going to be a reason we don't have Wei Li competing in Philadelphia. Maybe she's just not competing in America right now. I don't know what the deal is. Why is she not? It's been a while since she competed against Shevchenko. She's still taking time off. We all rightfully assumed that she would come back and get her, or wrongfully assumed, I would say, she would come back and get her belt against Mackenzie. But if she's not at the White House and she's not in Philadelphia, why is she not in America? What's the deal?
The only thing I can think of is, didn't she do a movie like a year or so ago?
Yes,
I mean, maybe she's trying to do other things, maybe she's
and
like
needs to stay in the region.
Yeah, it just there's like brand deals, other little ventures that she's doing. I would suspect that I couldn't say, obviously I'm not from the country, but I would suspect that she's got some star power and some name recognition in her home country. So there could be something like that. She might be thinking about post career advancement and stuff, I would guess. But it also could just be that she really wants to take that level of time off to make sure that she comes back 100% and all of that. That, again, this is all speculation. I don't know the exact answer, of course, but that's really what I would say. I don't know. I mean, that's about, to that specific point.
Yeah, and Johnny the God here. I was also thinking potentially that could be the case as well. Zhang Minyang could have been the Chinese fighter that could have been on the White House. But when you say that one, I don't really know who would have been the guy he was facing on the White House. That doesn't add up to me like, oh yeah, Zhang Minyang versus da da da.
Ivo Baranchevsky.
Wow,
and you would have gotten Poland.
What a fucking fight! Wow, holy shit. Yeah, no, that's pretty crazy. But I digress. I think a Chinese fighter not being on the White House card, it's not the most unfortunate thing. I don't think anybody, it's just the White House card.
Let me just address what Dana said here. I like what Dana said here. I think that this is I think that this as a concept, I think is right on. I mean, because a lot of people thought it was going to be America versus the world, and I think that the framing as he is framing it, I like this better. I think that it is more inclusive. We live in a very divided time in this world, in this country, and something like that, if that is actually what the behind the scenes reasoning was for the way that the card was put together, I'm okay with that. I think that it is nice to have the idea of all of these different regions represented coming together. That's what America is. That's the core values kind of thing. I'm good with all of that. However, and this is what we said in the Discord, and what I will bring up here. You did that to an extent, but I could name 700 countries off the top of my head that are not represented. No Russia allowed. I mean, Israel. I don't. Obviously, Israel is a very controversial country right now. We don't have a lot of. I don't think we have any Israeli fighters.
Yeah, they got rid of them before the White House for a reason. Come on.
So there, you know what I'm saying. So it's like, I like it. I know that there are only so many fights you can have on the card anyway. So it's like, yeah, you're not going to get every single country represented, but it just seems like maybe a little cop out.
How many countries can you really represent with your 6 title fights? Let's be real.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, that too. Exactly. So think about it from that framework right there. What the card was supposed to be with all of the title fights, pare that down. That down, and then now it's like, oh well, we wanted to have an international card, so it's a whole bunch of different people from all. Where's Ireland? Yeah. I mean, there's a guy from Ireland who could have been on this card.
There's a guy from Hawaii that could have been on this card against a guy from Ireland.
I mean, again, nuts. Like I said, Poland. I mean, you do have Brazil. I mean, again, I could go through all of the list of the countries that are not represented here, and it's fine. It's not like everyone needs to be, but again, I think that this might be more of a convenient, the card ended up the way that it is, and this is a nice way to sell it. Somebody in the PR department went to Dana and said, you know how you could really make this all smoothed over? Say it this way.
Well, the last thing that I would say to this point is if it was truly the most inclusive event that we were supposed to get to bring America together, to showcase all of the immigration and all the representation, where's my Anshul Jubilee fight, guys?
Bingo, exactly. And again, not for nothing, but the way that the current landscape politically is, to be representing the nation of immigrants while we are actively trying to kick as many of them out as possible might be a little bit sus.
I wonder if you are going to see people because you'll have your normal security, you'll have your normal agents in black, are we going to see ICE agents around this fucking place? That's going to be the question.
Could you imagine if there was somebody in somebody's camp that is a training partner or a coach or something that's illegal, and we get an ICE raid on a camp before this thing?
I think that plays a part into finding these people out. Diego Lopez, let me know right now. If anybody you're bringing has issues, we're going to get it pardoned. Just let us know. I give Trump the word, and he makes it okay, but you just got to let us know before you get there.
Exactly. So, we need the Uros Medic treatment on everybody.
Literally, just make sure they make it to the White House. That's all you got to do. They need to be in that Oval Office to walk down to the fucking cage.
Yeah, exactly. And so nice that those people are the ones that are in an organization where the owner of, or the president is friends with the president of the country and can make that all happen for them.
But let's be fair. I mean, all the major sports organizations, all of their owners and head honchos, they're friends with Trump's too. They're going to be at the event. I know it's all the people in power, Jerry Jones, that his name, that fucking guy.
The football guy.
Yeah, something like that. He'll be there. But there enough about political talk. I think this is time to get into some fun stuff, because this is a very funny video. I thought there's more to this. Is a live stream. This is a clip from a live stream with one of your favorite entertainers when it comes to the UFC roster, of course. And I thought this was just a really stupid clip, and we'll obviously watch it together. So if you're ready, I am ready.
All right, lay it on me.
So here is Merab and some.
Yeah, who is? I saw an image of this, but I did not see this clip. And do we know who this large lady is?
I don't know who she is. She is Amazonian. It does seem she is very. I mean, Merab's also a little goblin, so whatever you want to say. But she is pretty funny from the little clips that I've seen. I saw this one, but I just want you to watch it because it's Merab's just doing Merab. When he's not the champ, even when he's the champ. But either way.
But I still have to go wrestling with my sweaty guys. Okay, I have to wrestling with 10 other guys. What? And then we can training later. Me and you work on cardio, but right now I have to actually wrestling to grappling, and I have to go. Then
I like the hustle, baby. I support that. I'll be here waiting for you, don't worry. Okay. What? Yo, he's so cool. Ah. Yo, you guys are the best.
So there's your Merab Mackin for the day.
Okay. I mean, why was she surprised that he kissed her? I mean, she was asking for it.
I have no idea, man. But she, funny stuff. I would say does seem like a fun stream. To be fair, it's Merab's there. I don't know what to tell you guys. He's always doing something crazy, so I'm not surprised about any of this. But it is just a funny little video.
Like I have said, I have got a couple of people who have told me some kind of inside information, and apparently Merab is out there slanging D all over the place. So I don't get it necessarily. I mean, he does seem a little hobbitish to me, but for some reason he's got the he's got the juice. It's always one of those things that is surprising to me, who has the juice and who doesn't when it comes to getting the ladies. And I can't understand it, but it doesn't matter if I understand it or not. So shout out to Merab. Apparently she's a singer, says Jeremy. I don't know if that's true or not, but I guess that's the information that he's got. So we'll go with that. Her voice is.
I was going to say her accent for a singer. I mean, accent and voice, I guess.
she's got a little bit of a deeper voice. It sounded like to me, so I guess I would have to hear her sing. But yeah, congratulations, Marab. You got a you got a kiss from a big gal. I'm not saying she's not big that way. She
no,
seems
I
like
get you.
just large, you know. She's just Amazonian, like you said. You know, she's Rubenesque maybe a little bit. I don't know.
But 100%, this was really just a segue because when it comes to Georgians, you know, we obviously have two of the better ones in the UFC right now. And then there's one who's doing good things in karate combat as well. But when it comes to Marab, you know, there's another guy in the mix. Not between him and his lady here, of course. He's not, you know, doing any cuck stuff. But this next guy has been doing a little talking, and I would say this feels a little out of character. Not out of character that like, oh, he's talking for once. Like out of character is like kind of feels like a weird topic to be bringing up. Like who you're getting a little mixed up in other people's business. It kind of seems like. So I'm excited to play this other video for you, and and let me know what you think real quick. So
sure.
I'm gonna go ahead and share it, and we'll go ahead. Oh, it's muted. Okay, for some reason.
Tiene una mente de un chiquito, ¿sabes?
Oh my God, I did not know he was. But okay. In the clip, he says that Armin is not rich, nor is his father. I know a lot of rich people. None of them are like that. He's playing a game of buying a car, sending it to Russia, resell it. So, if you would like, we can watch the subtitle version of it. But that is mainly what I would like to say is like, come on, Ilya, what are you doing here? You're telling Hokit that he's crossing the line, talking about Shama mom, but now we're talking about Armin's parents and like what they do to get their money. It potentially could be whatever you want to say. Even if it is true, it could be something that they don't maybe want people to know, kind of deal. You know, I don't know.
I mean, again, you know, pocket watching. I don't know about all that. It kind of odd to me that you'd have like one rich guy like trying to out rich the other rich guy, or like, you know, saying he's not actually rich or whatever. Like what, you know, it's an odd game that you're playing in general with all of that. Look, I think that for me, it's like, it's not about like, I never care about any of that part of everything. Like if you had money coming in, as long as you are a cool person, then you're good by me. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know that Gina had money. Apparently I just found that out on the MVP card that Gina Carano came from money. Seems like a nice enough person. I have no problem with that. It's how you act and how you conduct yourself that matters to me. And, you know, both of them to an extent, but Armin much more never conducts himself properly.
I think, Chad, I have to check Thinker real quick because because you said, you know, if you have money and you come from money, all well, if you're a cool person. I have personally said Armin seems like the type of dude that I understand his humor. Let me say it that way. So I personally don't. But when it comes for people they come from money, they often and more or less going to get the brat kind of title, like the entitled title kind of deal. So
yeah, right. So you defy that is what I'm saying.
But.
And also, I think that you are misinterpreting Armin, which a lot of people seem to do. You like there was I've said this before. There was a girl that I knew back in high school who said, you know, I'm not funny. I'm just mean, and everybody thinks that I'm being funny. Armin.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I do not disagree with you. But I think, and especially if you're somebody who lacks a personality or whatever, you know, you're going to. It's hard to defy that title or the stereotype when you don't get the opportunity, of course. So, Armin having the opportunity, it's making it worse in your opinion. But when you say like, oh, if he was cool and had the money, that's fine. But it's like in some people's eyes, it's like, oh, Armin's just a chill dude. He might be mean, but I mean, whatever. You can do whatever the fuck you want.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't understand. Like, again, I class this as a level 5 charm spell. I have no idea how everybody has this perception of him. He is the guy who jumped into the crowd to assault a fan. He is a guy who got kicked out of the MVP event for almost trying to assault a fighter. He's the guy that took Uriah Faber and launched him off of the platform at RAF. This is not a cool guy.
You're not incorrect with all of these things, but the point that I would make is that Marab also climbed into the crowd and like gave a dude a noogie or whatever you want to say. Like you only say it's just because he was broke growing up, or you know, like is that why it was cool for him to do it? And like we still love Marab. Like people are people, unfortunately. Being unapologetically yourself is, I think, something that people resonate with. You know, if Armin's an asshole, listen, I would like him to just be himself instead of trying to be someone else. I guess he doesn't have to be, you
Yeah,
know.
no, I
And
mean, and look, that's fine. I mean, like, I think that with Merab, like Merab has shown enough of the other side of his personality that it balances out. You know, I do not think it's right that he did what he did with that. You're completely correct to bring that up. Armin only shows one side, and it's a prick. So it's like, no, look, if you, and you're making a fine point as well about people being authentically themselves. I think that does resonate with people, and that's perfectly fine too. I don't like that he is an asshole, and I'm not going to like him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it's fine that he is,
Right.
that's what he is, but it's not going to be for me. But I don't understand people saying, oh, he's actually a cool guy. No, just acknowledge that he's an asshole. If you like an asshole, that's your business, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I don't like, personally, I think, you know, when you look at someone like John Jones, we all know this dude's evil, but he plays the part that he's not, and like you can see it in his eyes, like, oh, he even doesn't even fucking believe, you know.
For
But
sure.
like Armin, on the other hand, I think, again, unapologetically yourself, just be who you want to be. You know, if you want to be the Nina drama fucking cuck video guy, I mean, people want personality. I mean, he's given it, I guess. You know, a lot of people, for up until last year, you could give the argument that Armin is boring, and who is he? He's just the rich entitled kid. That's,
He
you know,
still is, though. This is another thing that I don't understand. You say he's giving personality now. I watched the interview with Matan. He sucks. Like, he does not have any. Oh man, no, you know, blah blah blah. Like, you know what I mean? Like that fucking rolling the eyes. You know, again, like a spoiled rich kid, a dude who doesn't want to be there, a kid who's got better places to be at all times. I'm like, I don't see what people see in this guy. It's very, like, it's one of those things that's like an odd disconnect for me.
I definitely agree with a lot of things to say. I think Chad are bringing up great points. Johnny the God will go first. This is a weird thing to have beef, and Armin and Ilya trying to pocket watch is very corny here, but I understand that Ilya finds Armin a dickhead, excuse me, or being spoiled kid. And Hydra, of course, with the point of Merab. Merab is an active fighter and did a noogie once. I mean, does it make it better that it was only once? Again, he didn't go out there and beat the shit out of him, but like, bro, he literally ran away from security's grasp, climbed into the crowd. If he wanted to murder that dude, he could have. Like, just because the dude was.
Well, does that not show restraint that he did not?
He got into the crowd, brother. He climbed
and then he to show that, hey, you know, you're talking shit. I could hurt you right now. I'm gonna noogie you instead, and we're gonna leave it at that.
And I agree. Like, best case scenario, that worked out for him, I guess. But like, I'm just saying, apples and oranges here. It's not necessarily the same, because, of course, the other portion of Hydra's comment here is Armin assaulted multiple people. Armin assaulted multiple people multiple times. You know, so and is inactive. So whatever. I don't know. It's just, I understand, and I totally get. But like, I think also at the end of the day, if Armin was broke and acted this way, nobody would care. But if now that he has money and he came from, it's like, well, he's just some rich spoiled brat. Like, you know, like, I don't know if those necessarily.
If he had no money, if he was broke growing up and acted this way, I would still hate him just as much.
But would you? Well, okay, I hear you. I got you. But either way, speaking of unapologetically yourself, you know, this next thing is certainly an interesting one. You know, we talk about how this is the show for the comedy, the tragedy, and all the other things in between.
Yes.
And this is somebody who probably needs to be apologetically someone else, maybe, if that's how you would say the opposite of that.
Sure.
So getting into the PFL news, this guy named Logan Storley has been arrested and charged with sexual battery after an incident outside of a strip club in Key West, Florida. So Thinker, this happened on your local broadcast. What did you have to say? And did you hear any of the local news on it?
You know, I did not hear any of the local news. This happened in Key West, so this is a little bit farther south than me. But yeah, this is a tremendously disturbing story, actually. Yeah, Logan Storley. I mean, this was a decent name in the PFL, Bellator more specifically, but you know, staying in PFL after the merger. I mean, this is a guy who, you know, the fight with MVP kind of skyrocketed him a little bit. You know, became a little bit more of a known name in that organization. And the details of this are very disturbing. I mean, he legitimately, essentially, what it sounded like to me was kind of like stalking a woman in a, you know, in a club. You know, Key West is very liberal with their It's like with kind of the way people can conduct themselves. Clothing is optional in a lot of places there.
That was my question. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, it's kind of a more hedonistic, kind of a bacchanalian sort of place. It's known for that. I mean, that's kind of, they have the Fantasy Fest down there. That's a big like gay thing that goes on every year or whatever. Like, it's a place that is allows for people to kind of be a little bit more open. This is a major abuse of that, and really what kind of casts a shadow over something like an area like that, where you expect people to respect it and to conduct themselves a little bit more like a human being. I mean, he essentially, from what I gathered from this story, he was in this club. I guess this was a dancer in the club. He basically stalked her around the club and then somehow drew her out of the club and then sexually assaulted her in an alleyway. And once he got caught, apparently there was a second strip club where the owner of that club saw what was happening and was going to confront him, and he took off naked. So this is a naked man running away.
That is the portion that I have been hung up on, is because and the chat has corroborated that as well. I had heard that when they caught him, he was naked, and I'm like, how did when I hear something like that, and there was no other context to the story that I have heard of, but if he was stripping down on all of his clothes, he might have been on some drugs, man. I don't know. That's the typical I'm burning up type of fucking drug reaction.
Yeah, no, I think that drugs and alcohol kind of are part of the equation in general.
I would say alcohol for sure, but
most
this seems a little listen, I'm not trying to make any excuses for anybody, of course, but being drunk is one thing. Running around naked after you sexually assault somebody, I don't know, whatever. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, apparently the second floor of this club was a clothing optional area. So,
okay.
That does, I guess, play a small part in this, how they got down to the floor level and outside, and why this woman, after being kind of followed around the club, would even go outside with this guy is a little bit questionable, I guess. But, so there are questions here. But really, I mean, when it seems something as blatant as this, where, like you see someone from someone external to the situation, witnessing this and having to intervene, and then him taking off on foot naked, it does seem like, it makes it hard to find any benefit of the doubt in this,
Let me just be thankful. And this is to the victim, of course. Thankfully somebody was able to be a witness to what was going on, because for somebody who PFL is a professional athletes organization, for somebody who is at a status of professional athlete, any and every accusation that could be made after the fact is, it's, innocent until proven guilty, of course, but being caught in the act, having no, there's undoubtable evidence that he was, I was going to say, shout out to this club. I know they never probably expected that it would happen, but like having the second floor being the naked only area, so then they have to snake down naked through the building. I mean, that's a very far run for him to get outside fully, no clothes at all. I just think this is just a crazy situation, of course.
Yeah, I mean, whether he was naked inside and then put his clothes back on to get outside and took them off again, there are details here. Like, obviously, there's a sequence of events that has a couple of holes in it to the outside observer, and I'm sure that maybe more will come out, or maybe it's things that are only going to be known by him and the victim involved here. But either way, I mean, this is I talk a lot on the channel about professional conduct, and talk about unbecoming of an athlete. I mean, like, that goes way beyond this. I mean, this is just straight criminal activity and heinous. I mean, this is a very heinous thing to do to another person. So yeah, I mean, Logan Storley just ruined his life here, and he's very lucky that it didn't go farther than that. He's lucky that it got intervened with, because if he was in a state of mind where he was that drunk or on drugs or whatever, this could have gone even farther than that, and potentially could have been even worse. So I mean, I think that he needs to get himself as much help as he possibly can, and then hope that he's got a backup plan, because the organization has parted ways with him, so he's definitely not fighting for PFL again. I highly doubt something like this will allow for him to fight anywhere else.
Well, he was released by the promotion before the arrest and before this whole incident. So thankfully they cut ties with him before any of this happened. Because, I mean, not like it would have looked bad on the PFL or anything, because, he's his own person, but this this is just a crazy, this is a speed run to legit ruin your life. Like that was, and to all the people out there, these are the types of things that can happen when you take unsolicited things on the street. You know, if you're in Florida just having a good time doing drugs and alcohol, you think it's just one party night. Well, you just ruined your life. Now nobody is going to ever look at your name and like, you know, you could have been at once one of the best mixed martial artists. You know, you were a professional athlete at that thing. But now people are going to look at and know that like you are not somebody to root for. You're not somebody to ever remember the name. And even if they did, they can just look up your, you know, whatever you want to say. This is just back to what I was saying. Thankful people were able to witness what was going on, because this is just a crazy, crazy situation.
No, absolutely. You're exactly right. I mean, you know, your career is over. I mean, like, you know, certainly that. I feel terrible for the victim in the case, of course. And like you said, you know, I'm glad that this didn't go farther than what happened here. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing. I mean, like there's really no good that comes out of a story like this. I mean, and also, you know, we talk about this with BJ Penn a little bit, where, you know, it's like, is it the drugs? Is it the CTE aspect of things? Is it just being potentially a bad person at your core underneath all of that, and the layers and how much of all of that kind of goes into it? I would say that maybe that you know, I don't know Storley enough to know what the makeup of all of those things are, but what I would say is that drugs and alcohol sometimes amplify pre-existing predilections, you know, the things that you might be wanting to do, or you know, holding back from, that become unencumbered and become more uninhibited when you take substances. And then also potentially the CTE aspect of it too. I don't know, you know, how much trauma he's taken over the time that he was a fighter, but it's definitely not zero. So just, you got to keep all of it in context, but none of it looks good. And yeah, I mean, just, you know, I hope that you have a backup plan, brother, because you're going to need a lot of help. You're going to probably be doing a decent amount of time for something like this, I would suspect. And then afterwards, you know, you're going to have to pick up the pieces.
You know, another story that we actually obviously have to talk about, and this is just the best segue to get to it. We'll lump all of our tragedy together. This is not necessarily a tragedy story that has happened more recently, but it's reaching back, and we're getting more context on what is going to be happening in the future. So obviously, Logan Storley, that career over, life over, whatever. Next guy, I don't know if I would say career is not over, but as of right now, Rampage Jackson, his son, cut a plea deal after attacking Psycho Stu. So this is not necessarily anything that is mixed martial arts related. It is related to a mixed martial artist, no pun intended related, but this is something that we needed to keep up, and we talked about it on Free For Alls previously, so it's good that we finally get to see what the current resolution is for this. So he's going to be sentenced to 90 days in county jail, not prison, by the way, and 81,000 in restitution and 2 years probation. So, Thinker, what would you like to say about this initially?
Yeah,
and actually, before we continue, chat, this is winding down to the end of the show. We have a couple more, one-ish more thing to look into. So if you have something that we need to talk about, post it in there now. Make sure you get it out. But Thinker,
absolutely. Thank you for saying that. Yes, Chad, if there's anything that we missed today that is a pressing issue, please let us know. Send a link if you have it. All right. So yeah, when it comes to this, I guess closure. You know, I guess that at least there is some.
This is closure for some people.
Well, I mean, look, at least it comes to an end to this whole saga, and there is actually something being leveled here. But no, is this the correct sentencing? I mean, look, he did take the plea deal. He did, you know, I mean, like wasn't going to try to fight it. I had said I was praying that this guy was going to try to fight this case, because it would have been such a fiasco to try to see him or in his legal team try to figure out a way to defend him over this. But he did the smart thing in the, you know, as far as your options go, he took the right one by taking the plea deal. And if you take a plea deal, it's going to be a lower sentence because you are admitting guilt. So, I mean, I am not super surprised by this. This is also California, where, you know, the legal system is all kinds of sideways to begin with. Am I happy about it? No, I think that there should have been a stronger punishment, a stronger, you know, something larger to come down from this for what he did, and how close he got to this being a much more major situation than it ended up being. Am I super surprised? No, I don't know. I think that that's really where I land, is just, yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised, but I'm not happy either.
I just, you know, having money really can get you a lot of different things in this world, and they can get you special privileges when it comes to almost murdering people, you know. And I'm not really one to be like, oh my God, he almost killed him. You know, he beat the hell out of him for a really long time, and it was definitely way too far. But 90 days in jail, yeah, I don't know. I'm not, listen, it is crazy to say that like there's people out here who want to see this guy behind bars for the rest of his life. And you know, I'm not disagreeing, but I'm also, God, this was a crazy situation. Honestly, if I went back and rewatched the video, I'd probably sit here and be like, God damn, no, that was pretty fucking ridiculous. He should probably spend more time than, what is it, 3 months in jail or whatever. It is just still an interesting thing. Being a judge, listen, that ain't the job for me, brother. You know, it's somebody else for a reason, but I don't know if they know how to do their job as properly as another person. There's just too many things going on here in this situation. Chad, is there anything else that you think about this? I mean, Johnny the God, of course, you know, well, Hydra first says it's a weak ass sentence, you know, and fair play, you know, compared to other situations like this, I don't know what would have been the correct sentence, but Johnny the God, you know, 90 days over attempted murder is atrocious. Judge always showing sympathy towards criminals in the state of California. I mean, everybody has their own opinions of how they handle things over there. I don't personally have any vendettas against the judicial system of California as of right now, but maybe this is the first day that I start. I mean, what are we thinking, Thinker? One more time. Is 90 days enough?
Well, look, I mean, again, he took the plea deal. He did not have any priors, as far as I know. I think that would have come out by now if he had a prior record that would have influenced this. But if we didn't hear it, I'm assuming that he didn't have any priors. The money aspect of it, perhaps decent legal team behind it. I mean, I think that all of those factors make it so that this sort of makes sense. Again, I'm not saying I agree with it, but 90 days, I mean, shit, man. Kane got, what, a year and a half? I mean, you're saying, because it's like, okay, well, Kane had a weapon. You know, Kane fired a weapon. Oh, you know, attempted murder. I mean, is this not attempted murder too, to an extent?
Isn't that the sad part of reality of where we're at in life? Is like you have Cain Velasquez. This is a great example to bring up. You have Cain Velasquez, who everybody knows was morally doing what he thought was the right thing, and a lot of people would agree with what he said. Now, me and you personally agree he did it in the wrong way. There was other ways that, you know, whatever, but he gets more of a sentence than the person who is admitting that, yes, I was doing the wrong thing and I was trying to absolutely murder this guy. You know, like,
and also the thing too, and I think what is a big distinguishing factor with this case specifically is the fact that we saw the crime in 4K. I mean, like, you know, that you can't take that. Again, this is why this case was always so very interesting to me, because you cannot extract the fact that the crime itself happened before the eyes of thousands of people on the live stream and then amplified by the millions that saw the footage after the fact. I mean, this was so much of a spectacle of like how this all went down, that I just think that it's an interesting time in human history that is even the case with this. But does that make it any more wrong than if it had happened behind the scenes? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that really should factor in.
Yeah, me personally, I'm glad, not that I was glad to watch it, but I'm glad this is something that, again, witnesses were able to be there for. Because if you would have just did this in the parking lot and we just got a bunch of he said, she said about it, and we don't actually get to see the validity of how brutal it was, you know, I think that would have been a big thing in the court case of if it wasn't on video, they wouldn't be able to do as much with it, I guess. But thankfully, there was some sort of resolution, I guess. It's not necessarily the biggest or the best example of what the judicial system should be doing. But again, I'm not a judge, and I don't know too much about it.
And I guess the last thing that I would say to that point specifically about the sentence is, with all the factors as they are, as I said, took the plea deal, no priors, you saw the crime, you know exactly how it all went down. What would be more appropriate, do you think? I mean, would it be a 2 years, 3 years? I mean,
Listen,
what, like, you know, I mean, we're talking crazier than that. I mean, what's the,
a
what would you say?
year, a year sounds like at minimum, to be fair. Like 90 days is fucking crazy. I mean, like 3 months, I mean, you almost try to take away the rest of this dude's life, you know? So like a year minimum, you know, People do time all the time. You know,
Yeah,
people make mistakes, and if you can't do the crime, or if you can't do the time, don't do the crime. Whatever you
of
want to say,
course.
man.
Yeah, and like you had mentioned too, I mean, there was a moral element to what Kane did that I think put that instance in a
Yes.
different light. This is a clear-cut case of, and like that would really be the other thing that I would say is that regardless of the sentencing and all of this, Raja Jackson needs professional help. I mean, like he is like we talk, about Logan Storley just now needing help. I mean, like I did an entire analysis of the live stream. I saw, I had the uncut version of the live stream, kind of broke it down piece by piece or whatever. Like that was the conclusion that I came to, is that this is a troubled young man who comes from an upbringing with Rampage, who I think is not innocent in all of this personally. I mean, again, go back and watch that stream if you're interested in the full thoughts here. But, I think that this is a guy who his upbringing informed a lot of his life in, to what led up to this incident. He's a very troubled person in my mind who needs a lot of help after this to kind of get himself to a better mental state. I don't know if 90 days is going to be the thing that does that, or if jail time is the thing that does it, or if jail time plus other, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not here to say like what the makeup of all of that looks like. All I'm saying is that, based on what he did, I do think that a stronger sentence would have been appropriate. And that I just really hope that after all of this, that he can get himself well adjusted to society, because, again, bringing it back to Kane is not a repeat offender. You know what I'm saying? Cain Velasquez is not going out there and doing what he did again. Pray to God nothing like that ever happens to his family again, of course. Raja Jackson, I gotta say that what we saw there is an indicator of what could be a repeat action, I would say.
Yeah, I like you said, I think it's just the craziest part of where we're at in society. You have the morally good person who's going to do time, of course, and he does more time than the person who's doing morally bad, and admitting to, so
Right.
it's just unfortunate. I would just, we could have seen better. We could do better,
Yeah,
but
no, I hope so. And I hope that $81,000 is enough to cover Psycho Stu for, I mean, who knows how much lifelong damage he's going to be having to live with for now,
and medical bills. He was laid
Right.
up in the hospital for a handful of weeks,
Of course. Yeah, absolutely.
dental work, he lost a bunch of teeth. Crazy. I don't know, man. It's unfortunate. But
Yeah.
going into this last story, I think it's the most unfortunate portion of this, because I'm calling it a quits, guys. Podcast days are over. I am done, because Thinker, I know you're crazy. Listen. I'm now an investor of GFL. I am now an investor of GFL. I had to get you with it. I'm sorry, brother. But listen,
In a good run, brother. Power to you, Chase. At least I know that if you're quitting the show, you're going on to bigger and better things.
listen, I'm heading over to the light side, and if you guys didn't catch this, I'll make it brief to you. Share prices at $1, minimum investment of $1,000 or more. So all these big ideas to get a new PC and do all these Tales of Packs. Now I'm just GFL guy now. I mean, I think this is the biggest and best opportunity. And if you guys didn't catch this, I think this is really funny. As you watch this little video play right here, Justin Gaethje's in it. Like, that's just really funny. Like, they just use any fucking clips. Like, they don't even give a shit. It's obviously not a UFC clip, but Justin Gaethje is one of the primetime GFL people that I'm supposed to look out for as a shareholder.
Apparently, these GFL guys have the biggest balls on planet Earth, bro. I mean, for them to have the implosion of their first event with all, I mean, and Chase, you and I we are on GFL. We have been following the GFL since it was announced, charting the course of this thing. So we can go through, we're not going to go through point by point, but just, a brief highlights, having the event implode, having a bunch of fighters signed to the roster that didn't even know that they were on it. Fighters promised money that they weren't going to get.
Investors pulling out.
Investors pulling out and collapsing the whole thing. I mean, people being shown screenshots of bank accounts in order to get them to think that there was more money actively there than there was. Just all pretty much as much shady shit. The AI intro video that we all talked about when that happened, their big coming out stream with all of those fighters on it, and the announcement of all of that, and that kind of being a little bit wonky. Like, everything that these guys have done up until now to take a brief time off. And in the big picture, we're talking maybe 6 months, maybe that, even less, perhaps, taking a couple months off, coming back and saying, all right, guys, all that other stuff never happened. Put it out of your mind, because now is your golden opportunity. This is like Firefest, bro. This is like Firefest for combat sports over here.
I'm want you to watch this video. Like, watch what it's showing you on the video and tell me this is not the pyramid scheme verbatim. What's next? Win fights, sell tickets. I mean,
what more
next?
do you need? I mean, is that not what should happen? You win fights, you sell tickets. You're just waiting. What? It's just waiting. It's all waiting for you.
Exactly. But I think what's my idea here, and I think this would be for anybody out there who's listening, who is out there an investment hound. Johnny, listen, brother, John Dong out there, hear me out. You can invest into GFL, and right before they're about to have their second go at an event, whatever you want to say, you could pull all your money out and tank it. They just won't even have an event. So
the problem is that if you do that, you're basically rug pulling yourself. I mean, like, your money is in there. It's not like you're making any more money. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like buy low, sell high. There is no sell high with GFL, I would say.
Yeah, but if you really just have that money and you could throw around $1 million just to fuck around with it, you could just ruin the GFL for the second time go around. But other than that, I think it's key that we have to look at the roadmap here. So let's look at this roadmap.
All right.
Let's see what we got here. So 2026, we got the proof of concept, of course, launching the first season in New York, LA, Miami, and London. They've already got locations, guys.
So that's beyond the proof of concept that we had in 2025.
Correct. Yes, because now we're down to 4 teams. If you didn't notice,
I did notice that. True. Yeah, we had 6 before, right?
I think we had 6 or 5, but one of them was in the UAE, I believe. I think Abu Dhabi or something had a team. Like, I don't know where we lost here, but down to 5 teams. 2028 is we're going to get 6 teams expanded. We're going to bring on 2 additional cities, by 2028, 2 years in, however many events that's going to be. And then beyond, scaling media rights, sponsorships, merchandise. I mean, it's that easy. Is it proof of concept, expand, make money? I mean, there you go. What else do you need to know, Thinker? Let me know.
When Dana White says anybody can start their own league and do it, this is what he is talking about right here. It's just that easy, guys. You put together a graphic on screen, you put a bunch of words on it, and then you have a league. It's that you don't have to even have events. We know this because they didn't.
100%. And I just do want to flip through more here. I mean,
please.
Let's look at the traction, of course. Let's look at the traction. So whatever that means to them, of course, because I'm reading this now and I don't think traction is going to mean what I thought it was going to mean.
You use that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Teaming up with elite fighters, coaches, and media partners, GFL is building the infrastructure required to launch. That's the key thing. They have to build the infrastructure to launch because they did not do that the first time, is what it seems.
Failure to launch first go around. Completely different now.
We got a public company platform, publicly traded. All right, from the beginning, even though it's not necessarily publicly traded yet, you have to be a specific investor. Anyway, continue. What's your question?
Well, just question. Sorry, one question. They say it's publicly traded. Do we know where this is being traded? I would assume this is not on the NASDAQ.
I'm not too sure, honestly, with you, but
no one is. Of course, you don't have to have the answer to that, Chase, because no one has the answer to that.
True, but But the answer that we do have is that there's an athlete's performance and wellness council, world-class athletes and industry leaders actively shaping league standards and fighter development.
Well, we knew this because they had come out with that. That was the first, if you recall, again, we are so keyed into this. If you recall, their first big foray back into the public eye, the public sphere after the collapse of the first event was that the Athlete Performance and Wellness Council. They came back out of nowhere saying, "Hey guys, we've got Dr. So-and-so over here now." And everybody's like, "I thought you fucking died. What do you?"
Yeah.
It's like Jesus came out from inside of the cave and was like, "Hey, by the way, I got this over here too." And like, what are you doing here?
Facts. But if we had questions about how they're marketing this business, it's just win, make money, grow. It's easy. It's that easy. But if you thought you had questions, I don't, because they have strategic business advisors, of course, leadership across sports, media, and finance. That is where I'm interested to find out. You're publicly saying that these guys have plenty of experience in finance, and yet you lost 2 big investors right before you were about to have your first promotion. And that's the thing about the Wellness Council as well. You can shape the fighters and the development and the league standards all you want. You have to have a league that is performing to then adjust the standards to that league. You know what I mean? Like, you can't. there's no fixing the rule set when there's no rule set being applied. So
Che, you're looking at this from completely the wrong perspective, my guy. I watch a lot of YouTube. I'm keyed in to the financer influencer space, and have you ever heard of like guys like Wes Watson or any of those kinds of dudes? Like these guys that are in that area. I mean, like, they're the people who are going to be strategically business advising an organization like this. So you are in great hands when it comes to something like this from a business standpoint. You've got guys that have mansions in Miami. Does that not sell it to you? Look at the cars that these people drive. Chase, does that not sell you on their business acumen?
Let me actually pull up a photo real quick. I think I have a bank account screenshot or something. And then you could, yes.
Bingo. I mean, look, I'm sold. You just told me right now. It's 1,000 shares easy.
Absolutely. But either way, we have more things that they are bringing to the table in their traction. Where did this, who put this together? This is not what I thought you would have got when you talk about traction.
The underpants gnomes put this together.
Maybe. All right. Either way, global production and distribution. GFL has secured production and distribution partners across global markets. I would love to know who they are. I would love to know which production and distribution partnerships across global markets with additional media partnerships. So that's what's going to be key. So they're planning to have like media scrums and everything. Like we're going to have interviews and stuff. Like we have media outlets who are wanting to know what the GFL has to say. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, this is another, and look, guys, I'm not trying, every time I say this, like, I'm not trying to say like that I'm like some, deep insider information kind of guy that's so tapped into all of this, but I do pay attention to the business side of this sport. I am, people call me a LinkedIn warrior. You know what I mean? I'm actively following the business goings on in the combat sports world. I have not heard peep from anyone about anything like this. And I'm also keyed into the production side as well. I mean, obviously I have a background in that. So, I mean, like, I know all of this landscape. I would also love to know who they think that they are talking to for this. They're talking global distribution here. This is a different thing as well. If you told me that this was out in the middle of Nebraska, we've got the GFL starting out small in Nebraska. We've got a production facility. We've got a production. I'd say, you know what? I'm not familiar with every single person making content in Nebraska. Maybe I got a shot with that. You're telling me that there is a global capable company, a company capable of mass production and global reach that is partnering with this organization after what we know that they have already gone through. And it's just somewhere simmering beneath the surface that has not been brought out to the public in any way. I mean, I don't know if there's anything more smoke and mirrors than what we are being presented with right now.
Let me tell you one thing that I know is fact. And obviously, you would rightfully assume that they are not going to have a partnership with someone like Netflix.
Right.
But the reason I would say that we know this to be factual is because just over the weekend, we saw Tyron Woodley at the desk of the Netflix event. And he did not mention that he is one of the global advisors for the GFL and that you guys should invest, anything like that. Like if Netflix had some sort of chummy relationship with him, like, yeah, Tyron Woodley, go out there and promote the GFL. Who cares? We're not in competition with the UFC anyway. We're not in competition with you guys, but Tyron Woodley, I mean, he's a part of it. But
yeah,
all I know is he's posting links. So I
mean, well, that's the thing, right? They might be considered a threat to MVP. I don't know how that would work. Maybe Logan, not Logan Paul, Jake Paul is somehow involved. Maybe Logan Paul is somehow involved. I mean, all of these people, like there is this whole world, and this is why crypto has always been one of those things that I've kind of stayed a little bit away from. I'm aware of it. I have an understanding of all of that element of it, but I stay away from all the meme coins and all of that stuff. There's this whole online space where all of this bullshit, it's a bunch of fucking ones and zeros on your screen that somehow tricks people into believing that there's actually something there, that there's actually a product at the end of the day. And it's just, I don't know how many Hawk Tua coins need to happen before people start realizing that it's all a bunch of horse shit. I don't get it.
I definitely don't get it either at this point, but we're at a point where the GFL has founding athlete recruitment. So there's a lot of things that are just going on in this world that are just inexplicable. But the GFL is recruiting, has the recruitment of elite fighters and emerging fighters team captains and coaching staff across the all 4 launch markets. Now, obviously, we're going to expand in 2028, but if you wanted to, you could sit here and watch the names scroll of the people who we have. Do I have to is it going to move itself? There we go. So if you want to take a look, you can, but I'm more interested. We'll give it a little second. If Kat Zingano, of course, Jessica Aguilar, Tyron Woodley, of course, Mike Goldberg is still trying his merry best to get this thing off the ground.
Goldie out there till the very end. What a right. It hurts my heart that Goldberg is involved in this, because obviously he is such a rider. Like, he is going down with this ship just because that's the kind of guy he is.
Yeah. So Benson Henderson, Marlon Moraes, and that seems to be, okay, there's still some other people, but I'm more interested in looking at the perks. I think this is the next thing.
Just before you move on, though, I do want to touch on the founding athlete recruitment element.
What the fuck is this NFL trailblazer? What are we talking about here? Dr. Jen Welter? Wellness.
She was the one. She was the one that was the first one announced when they did the Health and Wellness Council. Yeah, she's their medical expert or whatever. Okay. Congratulations, you got in with a winning team. But yeah, when it comes to the founding athlete recruitment, we've been talking about this a whole bunch recently, because we were saying about the pipeline to the UFC and the desire to be in the UFC. We were saying how PFL trying to have homegrown talent there being very difficult because of the pipeline to the UFC. What in the world? And we also, again, in relation to MVP as well, that was why this whole conversation was coming about with the undercard of MVP. What makes you think that you, of all people, will be able to get the talent when you have all of those other organizations that I just mentioned trying to homegrow talent, trying to find the next stars of the future, having varied degrees of success with it, and the UFC having the pipeline that it has already built in? Tell me how this makes sense.
I'm going to tell you is because if you did not notice, and I just noticed this as well, right here, we're about to find out the multi-platform distribution. And obviously these fighters, they want to be on these platforms. Fighting on Netflix is crazy. Getting on Paramount is crazy. But when you look at what the GFL's got, guys, Verizon, Spectrum, YouTube, DirecTV, Dish.
They literally just took a bunch of logos and slapped it on this website. I cannot believe what I'm seeing right now. This
payperview.com. Oh my God, the illegal stream place. What the hell?
Yeah, well, different extension for that one. But I mean, look, all of what you're seeing right here. I mean, Fubo. There are. Again, these are legitimate outlets that it would make sense for them to partner with. I do not believe they have a partnership with any of these platforms.
It's got all of them. They've got a partnership with every single one of them. That's the thing. Yeah.
There's crazy global distribution right there.
But let's also scroll down a little further, because I know we're going to get to the perks, but there's just too much information here.
I'm loving this. I mean, I'm so glad. I'm so glad that they're coming back in such a major way.
I love when they try to explain how this works, right? Here's the business model. Opportunities outside of the octagon. Ticket sales. You just sell tickets, you distribute media, and then you sponsorship. That's it.
If I sell 2 tickets and then I also have 2 people under me selling 2 tickets, and then they have 2 people under them selling 2 tickets.
Yes.
Brother, we're in business right now.
Yes, it's the reverse funnel system. If you didn't,
how many times has that just been a successful model that people replicate over and over?
And this is, I love this one. When it comes to their ticket sales, they're disciplined and they have repeatable event models. How can something be repeatable if it did not initially get started? That's the crazy part. Wow.
The one that the fact that it says disciplined is hilarious to me. They're disciplined. Yeah. Disciplined enough to announce a 2-day event and have both days fail. Oh my God, dude. Who are they fooling though? I don't. Oh my. Anyway.
I can tell you who they're fooling. Us, because listen, we had a whole drive-by of places that are distributing this this media content, whatever you want to say. But right here, they're re-amplifying that. Yes, there's a multi-platform distribution with Fubo, payperview.com, DirecTV, and Thriller. They're doubling down. It's not just scrolling on your screen. It is doubling down. And this is also interesting too. Conservative pay-per-view pricing with achievable performance targets. So wait a minute. Pay-per-view model?
Pay-per-view model is what it seems like. And look, what I say to that, and because taking the meme element out of this for just 1 second, what I've said about the GFL in the first go around is that I do believe that there are elements of what they are. If you took away all the bullshit and you just stripped it down to their core concepts, team-based MMA, better treatment of fighters, health insurance, all of that kind of stuff, there are good elements of what they were trying to sell us on that extends to that. I have said many times, if you had your pay-per-view model set to $10 a pay-per-view, you might, and the quality of the fights were good enough that you actually could court people to want to watch. There is a version of a pay-per-view model that I think could still be successful. I mean, again, it would have to be a price point that is in that like $10 to $15 range, perhaps. But like I think that if you had a quality of fights paired with all of those, again, there's too many elements that have to all be in line, actually working in sequence with one another to make it make sense. But at its core, there is some sense to be made. GFL has never given us one iota of belief that they could actually pull off what they are presenting.
Well, I'm going to show you the belief right here.
Okay.
Right here. This next thing.
I keep making it seem like I'm pulling out and you're just pulling me back in, Chase.
I know there's just too much. Obviously, we got sponsorships. We know that you make money, you distribute the media, and then you get sponsorships on that media. That's easy. But when it comes to merchandise, it is team merchandise. Now keep in mind, the teams are going to create the identity. The identity is not made for the team is going to be whatever the fuck they want it to be. And now also, when they sell their merchandise, they will have a recurring high margin revenue stream. That is absolutely wonderful. Every team is just going to have high revenue stream on their merchandise. You just sell merchandise. That's just how it is.
Yeah, I love the idea that they're telling us that yes, recurring high value repeatable revenue. Says could be it's going to happen because we say so. So yeah, I mean, I think that there's there's plenty of potential there. Also got a shout out Bleeding Edge coming in with the $9.99 super chat. This is my contribution to GFL shares, brother. We will start the GFL investment fund right here. The Yama Industries. Keep them coming in, and if you guys want 1,000 shares, because we got to get to 1,000. That's the number. It has to hit 1,000. So it's going to be a little bit higher than a $10 investment, perhaps, if we actually want to buy in. But if you guys for whatever reason decide that you want $1,000 to go to GFL, Yama Investments is here for you, and we will go down with the ship together.
This is definitely a good model that I am excited to see how it goes for Thinker as well. But speaking of the models, the franchise model and expansion of GFL, I think this one is great. So we have a limited number of teams. Now, mind you, the limited number was 6, and then we did not have enough teams that wanted to compete. So the fact that they said we're limiting number of teams to create scarcity, mate, you need to sell them. There's people that don't want the fucking teams. They already dipped out. How are you going to make it seem like there's a demand when there's not? I don't know.
Trying to say that scarcity is a plus in this is just, they really have taken a bunch of terminology. Like this is so common where people like Chase. This is a general business note for anybody out there. Okay. As I navigate business and stuff, I pick up these little tidbits. Never let someone say with great confidence absolutely asinine things to you and you believe those things. Okay. People will try to present information to you in a confident, clear tone with this level head where they sound like everything is clicking and making sense. And they will say the most abysmally asinine things to you. This is what this appears to be to me, where it's like, these are all business words. These are all things that I've heard of scarcity before. What does it mean in this context? Break it down. Use one more step of logical, rational thinking. This makes zero sense whatsoever. You're selling me on scarcity in a promotion that has already failed and that needs to be building itself off of a platform that actually has that universal appeal. Where is the scarcity as to how that makes sense in this context?
You're making a lot of good points, but I don't know if you heard. The team merchandise has a recurring high margin revenue stream. Like, I mean,
you just print it and it flies off the shelves. I mean, like, they haven't even made it yet and it's already sold.
For somebody who's supposed to be investing in the product, I would like for them to be a little honest. Like, oh yeah, well, we're going to lose money here, but here's how we're going to make it up. No, every facet of the game over here just is a high margin revenue stream. But the shirts, the ticket sales go up, they fight, we win, we got sponsorships, all the money comes in. That's why we're going to be able to pay our fighters so much, is because we make all the money with everything we do. There's not one thing, even the hot dogs in the arena, we have got those down to reasonable prices. Like, I don't get where GFL thinks that it's hearing only good things is like what people want to know. Like, no, where is it actually going to make the difference that this is the business? You know, we're in the business model section right here. Where's the actual business model that shows me that your business is modeling after something that's already successful and or doing something that is similar enough to be successful, but you're doing your own way with, you know, where are you explaining anything other than ticket sales up, win fights, media distribution, sponsorships, and then team merchandise? I mean, what else is there?
Right. And again, the trappings of it all make sense. The presentation of it is stuff that if you are just at a glance, not digging too deep into it, is like, oh, okay, I guess I could kind of see that. Where the fatal flaw always comes is the demand. The demand has to be, if there were, everybody remembers all the fighters that were announced for it, some of which were not actually on the roster to begin with, but we'll put that part to the side. Let's say that all of those fighters that you knew to be on that,
some were even drafted.
Somewhere, yes, some were drafted. That is true. We all saw the live stream,
and I bring that up because Sage Northcutt was not in the rolling names of things, but I know he was drafted first. So
true. And did he ever confirm that he was actually on the roster?
He was on the live stream. So
okay, so there you go. So he was one of them. Paige Van Zandt, another one. So I mean, the point is though, is that you remember all of those names. If there were enough people banging the GFL's door down to say, I want to see Sage Northcutt fight. I want to see Paige Van Zandt fight. I need to see Tony versus Dylan Dennis. The demand is so there. Maybe you have some minor leg to stand on with any of those other things, team merchandise, this franchise model, all of those things. But it all collapses when you look at the core of the product. One that obviously couldn't even get launched in the first place. But again, taking that out of the equation, just the core product in and of itself, you are selling off of antiquated goods, essentially damaged goods. It's a little bit harsh to say that, and I don't mean disrespect to the fighters, but you know what I'm getting at when I say that. This is not the hot thing. And again, talking about the prospecting and stuff like that. Where are you selling me off of that to make me believe that even could be a thing? Show me Phumi Nkuta on that card. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the type of thing that maybe you get something off of. But to think that anything that they have here currently in this structure with what we know about this organization could actually equal up to something successful is they really are selling wolf tickets.
Well, the thing that I would like to next look into, I know I brought it up just a minute ago, but after reading into what I'm going to be investing in, let me see what I get for my investment. You know, let's look at the perks. I mean, this is what's going to define if I'm going to shell out thousands of dollars. You know,
I mean, we're 1/100th of the way to being investors ourselves here now because of the generosity of Bleeding Edge. So thank you very much for that again, Bleeding Edge. So,
yeah, so let's check out these perks. Of course, let's see
please.
what we're gonna get. Okay. Oh, wait, hold on. Okay, so let's look at the time-based investment perks, I guess. Interesting.
Okay.
So within the first month, you receive 15% bonus shares.
Oh, so we buy in, and then in a month we get more of these tickets. Basically, we just widgets, whatever you want to call it. So we have 1,000 to start off. We're gonna have 1,150 a month later.
Okay. You could also do a 10% bonus or a 5% bonus.
Right.
Okay.
So if these are worth nothing to start off with, we're going to have 15% more of nothing.
Gotcha. Sounds a little bit like a coin that I know of for another organization, but we'll get into the volume-based perks here.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So if you invest 1,000 plus, you can receive a 2.5% bonus share. Okay. So it's relatively the same thing. The more you buy, you get more. So the more you buy of the coin that's not worth anything, the more you get nothing in return.
I'd say
sign me up.
I don't know what else to say to that. Yes, correct. If this is all a bunch of funny money, bunch of again, where is this traded? Where is that? Like I'm talking about shares.
I think if I scroll up here, I think there might be something. Okay, yes, this is still part of the business model thing, but this gets into what we're actually buying here. So how the GFL preferred share conversion works. So $1 invested purchases one preferred stock. After 6 months, investors may choose whether to convert. Conversion prices equals lower of the 20-day average GFLE, which is the common stock name, which is below 20. See, they're just throwing shit out there that we don't even we're not supposed to understand, I would say.
Equals the lower of the two. Okay. Or yeah, the lower at $20 or 20-day average GFLE common stocks. What's the bottom thing say there?
This is like a conversion example. So
okay,
if you have 5 shares of common dollar, whatever, brother, this is just fucking retarded.
I mean, I'm trying to like follow along with it. Again, it's kind of hard for me to read on my end, but
yeah, here, if I can.
Yeah. So okay. So conversion.
Oh God,
there.
sorry.
I mean,
did you want the other one? Sorry.
No,
sorry.
I'm just so I can see exactly. Conversion price equals the lower of larger than 20-day average GFLE common stock price or larger than 20 cents per share. So it's saying you invest, you have the dollar per share. After 6 months, investors can choose whether they want to convert. Convert to what? To cash?
To what exactly? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume to is that cashing out or convert to? Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm just not savvy enough on the stop game to know that element of thing. But yeah, to receive I think what they're saying is that these investments are pre-shares. So it's like you're purchasing at $1 per share. After 6 months, it becomes actual stock, and then you can decide whether you want your initial investment back or to convert to the actual stocks, which are at a lower price point than what you started off with. So yes, for every $1, you get 5 shares instead of the $1 that you had initially.
Okay. So again, does the illustrative example here help you? Does it break it down?
It does now that I talked it through. I think that makes sense. However, I still go back to the original point. If the preferred shares are worthless, then you're multiplying those by 5 to give me more worthless.
Correct. Yes. But let's actually, I know we were talking about perks. When I clicked the perk tab, this was purchasing a perk, of course, not something that you would get for making your investment. You know, you make your investment and the perk you get is to just make more of an investment. You know, like that's an interesting outlook, but let's look at the additional perks. These have got to be good.
Okay.
Maybe you would get a subscription to the service that they're going to be on. You know, if you spend $1,000, I mean, that's at least 1 year subscription of YouTube Premium where I could watch the event.
I would hope
I digress. Oh, sorry. It's just more things that you can buy. So you can invest and you'll get an official team jersey. Now, it doesn't say which team, doesn't say to be fair, how are they making so much high revenue streams off of the merchandise if they're just giving it away to all their investors? Interesting. What's your question?
I'm looking at this and you really mean to tell me that based on what we just said, you know, multiplying, like you said, you know, you're buying in with the opportunity to have more of this nothing. The additional perk on top of that, I'm paying $1,000 for that opportunity and a jersey.
And a shirt.
And a jersey, yes. And a shirt. I mean, I get a jersey and a cap for 5, and then the $10,000. Oh, if you go all in, brother, you get the Founders Team kit, which is a shirt, a cap, a hoodie, and a jersey.
And this page scrolls down, so there's more.
Oh my Lord! Oh wow! I mean, this is just getting started.
Oh brother, 25,000. You get, same
stuff.
Same stuff. No, but you get team shorts this time.
Sold. Oh my God! For that extra $15,000 pair of shorts, I'm in.
Now, and this is where we're getting into. So if you pay $50,000 or more, now you would think you are a lifetime supporter. They are in debt to you. If you pay something like that, you get 2 front row VIP tickets.
I would think that any investment tier of this would be begging to have the investors at these shows. You know what I mean? Like $1,000, I should be getting a family pack for that.
No, you're paying $50,000 for an athlete meet and greet. Didn't you want to meet Tony Gonzalez or somebody, whoever's fighting over here? Like,
oh, brother, I mean, the chance to have a conversation with Alima Lay McFarland for $50,000, I think it's a steal, personally.
Yeah, I mean, but listen, this is obviously bang for buck is really where they're going for with the highest level here. So if you drop $50,000 more than the other package, which may sound crazy to some, Easy. This is easy. So you still will obviously get your 2 front row VIP tickets. You would think you pay 50,000 and you get 2. If you pay another 50,000, wouldn't you get 4? Like, wouldn't you get the next event on top of it? No. Know what you get instead? You get in-cage presentation.
Okay.
So what does that mean?
You get to be that one guy at the bare knuckle, at the game bred bare knuckle in the Dominican Republic that just comes into the cage and just hugs the fighters after the fight.
Yeah, I listen, and I love how they make sure to let you know for this other one. You get flights and accommodation to one event, one singular one, and we pick it, and it's in the state, in the city that we want you to go to. You're good, brother. You're not going to fucking Abu Dhabi on our ticket, brother.
I mean, $100,000, Chase. I don't know why we're memeing so hard. I mean, for $100,000, you know that. I mean, for I don't know how much the average wages are in the country. I don't think they're very good right now. But that what, like 3 years worth of salary for some people, potentially, at least 2.5 for some.
And that's saving literally every penny of it. That's not eating. That's not sleeping in an apartment. That's not having a car. That's using a bike only. Yes, possibly.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. I mean, this sounds like exactly what you should be putting that money into so that you can go and have front row VIP tickets and get to run around in the cage after a fight.
I'm sold, really. I mean, for $100,000, honestly, for $100,000 plus, you could just have your own personal donation. If you love the GFL so much and you don't really care about your jersey or your shorts or your front row tickets, make a personal investment on top of this. Your $100,000, you'll get 15% more. By the next 2 months pass, you'll have a million coins that mean nothing. I'm sorry, stock options. And yeah, it's really just that easy, just drop 100,000 bones, call it a day, wait for your revenue to be high margined and streaming upwards or whatever they said earlier.
If I had $100,000 and I was putting it into the GFL, I would be inside of that boardroom making decisions about how this organization was being run.
100%.
Like, how I don't understand how they think that like, this literally it just goes back to that same model of all of these like wolf ticket salesmen out here with the crypto coins and all of the rest of this stuff. Like, you just put together a website that has a whole bunch of words on it and some vague idea of something that could potentially happen. You say it's going to the moon, and there's going to be someone to give you that money.
Yeah, but here are the leaders who have done this before, which
failed events.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. By this, do you mean failed events, or do you mean, because when you say, oh, they've done this before, we've been here, we've been there, isn't this some sort of new business model? Isn't this a new type of thing? Why would they have been around this? If you're trying to do something so expansive to the sport, how have they been around the block? How have they done this before? I mean, we've already seen you fail, so maybe you should surround yourself with other people who have been around different blocks. I don't know, but let's take a look. Vince Hesser, Jeffrey Pollock, Darren Owen, and Scott Parker. Do we need to read any more on these guys, or have we looked into them before previously? Is there anything else?
I think Hesser and Pollock are ones that may be new to this equation, perhaps.
But this guy, we know of him.
Owen is the guy who's front and center, and I believe that Scott Parker is the dude who I had kind of mentioned, and I can't go into too much detail about it for various reasons, but Scott Parker is someone who was familiar to me in a different venture that also was unsuccessful. And I think I had mentioned a little bit about how he was trying to present, where it was very much like what I was talking about before with the Wes Watsons of the world that were trying to, he had a very lavish office environment. He had some like antique Indian motorcycle in there or whatever. Like, he was really trying to give you the appearance of opulence to sell the concept of them being, knowing what they were doing, being in charge and being reputable. And that venture failed spectacularly.
Yeah, I can imagine. But I think it's time for us to get into some frequently asked questions, because I would need to know some of these. Gosh, they got a lot.
There's a lot of them. Yeah.
So
pick your favorites.
So let's see why invest in startups. And this is a good question, because it's not why would I invest in this startup? I want to hear their idea of why would you invest in any startup. So let's see how brain dead they are when it comes to why would somebody invest in a startup, because in their mind it's like, well, because you win money, you get money, you invest, it goes up. They don't probably have a real reason of why somebody would need to invest in a Kickstarter or anything like that. So Regulation CF allows investors to invest in startups and early growth companies. This is different from helping a company raise money on Kickstarter. Okay. With Regulation CF offerings, you aren't buying products or merchandise. You are buying a piece of the company and helping it grow. Again, why? So why should I invest?
I mean, because you believe in the quality of what the GFL offers you as far as their product goes.
This next question is awesome because for somebody who is investing upwards to $100,000, I would also have the frequent question: how much can I invest?
Yeah, really. I mean, I got infinite money. I want to give all of it to the GFL. Can I do that? Will you take all of my money if I want to give it to you?
And you thought the perks really were good, but I unfortunately am here to tell you that if you are investing greater than 124,000, then your investment limit is still the 10%. Unfortunately, at 100,000, the perks are done. So you could do 101,000 and $1, and you're going to get the same thing as 124,000. That's unfortunate because these are what I came to know the answers to is from.
But God damn it, I want to give so much more.
Listen, and for somebody who has upwards to 124,000, you would maybe think that they would have this under control when it comes to their personal finances. But if you didn't know, guys, you can check your net worth. You guys can check your net worth to calculate it. Just add up all your assets and subtract the liabilities. That's your net worth right there. Frequently asked to the GFL, how do I calculate my net worth?
That reminds me of when you hear about scammers and they're like actively trying to help people find more money so that they can then scam them out of that money. It's like, yeah, let me help you calculate your net worth so that I can show you exactly how much you can put into this.
Yes, and then let's see. Maybe this is a good one. Okay, who can invest in the Regulation C? So this must be their brokerage place that they could. Regulation CF. Never heard of it, by the way. If you're over 18, you can invest. They're
Come
reaching.
one, come all.
Listen, let's see. When will I get my investment? Oh my God. Now this is where the legal terms are coming in.
Yeah,
they have to
exactly.
make sure you know. Let's see. I'm not going to read all of it. These are both considered long-term exits, taking approximately 5 to 10 years and often longer to see the possibility for an exit.
Oh, no. Hold on.
Okay, go ahead.
I would recommend starting this from the top here because this is, yeah. Go read it from the top out loud, real quick, Chase.
The preferred stock, the shares. I've never seen shares in quotations. By the way, this is pretty interesting. Okay, of the Global Fight League company,
right.
Okay, are not publicly traded.
So
as a result,
just real quick, so that answers my question. Where is if you're getting shares of this company, where what is publicly? No, it's just you're buying into this company, a private company, and these shares are just decided by them. Okay,
correct. And as a result, the shares cannot be easily traded or sold. It's not easy, guys. I'm letting you know, it's not impossible, but it's very unlikely. Says so the people who make the fucking anyway. Go ahead.
You want to talk about holding the bag? That is literally what that means. You buy it and you better hold it. They even had back on the investment thing before, where the pipeline, it said, you buy and then you hold. So yes, you're buying in, and you better be comfortable with that investment for a while.
So this next one is gold. As an investor in a private company, you typically now this is not that, this is just in layman's terms, normally what you would see is you would look to receive a return on your investment normally. That's
kind of how investing works generally,
No, but you would normally seek that under the following scenarios. The company gets acquired by another company. That's normally what would happen. In this case, that's most likely not happening. The company goes public, makes an initial public offering. That is also not what this is. But in those instances, you receive your prorated share of the distributions that occur in the case of an acquisition, or you can sell your shares on the exchange. These are both considered long-term exits, taking approximately 5 to 10 years. Often longer. Most of the time, it's going to be 15 years, brother. More years than 10 is crazy. To see the possibility for an exit, it can sometimes take years to build companies. It takes a while for shit to work. If you're going to invest, brother, what are you rushing us for? This shit takes a while. Like, we got to make shit happen. As a result, sometimes there will not be any return. And as a result, business failure.
You know, look, I was a major investor in Acon City, and I am so sure that that is still in development. I've been waiting and waiting, and I'm just going to continue to wait. So my next investment will be this, and I can sit and wait as well. And by the time that I am dead, maybe we all have just forgotten about this.
I think it's just interesting because I wanted to bridge it too. When you look in comparison to this, a fighter had just started up a rum company, Aljamain Sterling, and
Yes.
he has opened up investments to the company. And there's just two different approaches. You know, you have Aljamain Sterling who starts a company because he wants a business, but when he talks about it, he seems passionate about it. Like, I want go out, try the rum. If you like it, you should be an investor because you're investing in a product that you would like. When it comes to the GFL, you invest in their product, and they're going to flat out tell you you're investing in this because you may not get a return. You may not get anything back.
Yeah.
It may take 5 to 10 years for you to get anything back, but that's why you invest. You invest for the love of the game. You know, like, you don't get returns. Oftentimes you don't get returns. You invest because the GFL is what you want to buy. It's like, they're not even telling you that. Like, they're telling you, if it fails, it most likely will. You're not getting shit back from us. Like, that's in the
legitimately.
fucking page.
Yeah, and also, I mean, the difference too is that Aljamain Sterling actually has a product that you can hold in your hand, you can imbibe into your body. Like, GFL has never shown us that they actually have a fight league to begin with.
Yeah. So let's keep rolling down. Can I sell my shares? We already went over. Basically, you cannot. Shares sold via regulation crowdfunding offerings have a 1-year lockup period before those shares can be sold under certain conditions.
Certain conditions.
So after your 1-year lockup, then you request to get your shares. Then you have to wait your 5 to 10 years, if not more. Yeah, that one's interesting. Okay. Let's see what other ones. What happens if a company does not reach their funding targets? This is where they're going to come up with something good.
Guarantee you they are keeping all of this money.
If a company does not reach their minimum funding target, all funds will be returned to the investors after the close of the offering.
I take it back. I'll actually give them a little bit of credit for that. If that is the case, I mean, but the question becomes, what is their minimum funding target?
Correct. Yeah.
$10.
Yes. But either way, how can I learn more about the company's offering? Because listen, we got to learn more. We're on their site, but the frequently asked question when I get to their site is, where do I learn more? You know?
Yeah.
All available disclosure information can be found on the offering page of our regulation crowdfunding offering. So, no link, by the way. Just
go and find it.
Yeah. What if I change my mind about investing? What if I just don't want to invest anymore? You can cancel your investment at any time for any reason until 48 hours prior to the closing occurring. Oops, sorry. If you've already funded your investment and your funds are in the escrow, your funds will be promptly refunded to you upon cancellation. To submit here's a link to request a cancel. There you go, right there.
An email address, at least. Yeah. Okay, right. Well, email them and hope that they get back to you, I guess. But I at least I at least give them credit for having some type of cancellation. If it actually happens, is the question. You know, I mean, and I'm not saying that it wouldn't. You know, I mean, I don't have any reason to think that it wouldn't. But you know, I'm just saying.
Well, speaking of dealmakersecurities.com, I think this is a valuable, frequently asked question. What relationship does the company have with Dealmaker Securities? Dealmaker Securities is acting as the regulated funding portal in a whatever that fucking word is, for the specific offering. Once this offering closes, there is no guarantee that Dealmaker Securities or its affiliates will maintain any formal relationship or continue providing services to the company, although they may choose to work together on future offerings. So if you get screwed over, you don't go to them. They're not fucking helping you.
They're here for this initial portion of everything, and after that, it could be them, it could be somebody else, it could be nobody. Who knows?
True, and so this is a valuable question that I think they should have had this one as 14 and the other one as 13. But how do I keep up with how the company is doing? At a minimum, the company will be filing with the SEC and posting on its website an annual report. Oh, brother, this will be great.
I know. Cannot wait to hear what's in that annual report.
Along with certified financial statements. Those should be available 120 days after the fiscal year end. If the company meets a reporting exception or eventually has to file more reported information to the SEC, the supporting described above... What? may end. If these reports end, you may not continually have current financial information about the company. Okay. So good that we're going to be able to keep up with them financially and just watch the fucking bar graph just go fucking down. But
yeah, I mean, until they decide that they're not going to be reporting anymore, if that seems the company. Yeah.
Yes.
If
Yep. It sounds like they'll just not do it at some point. But
okay.
The last question, of course, what is Global Fight League's pre-money implied valuation?
Yeah, the valuation. Yeah, the valuation. Just how much is the company worth pre-investment is what they're trying to say here. And I would love to know this one.
Global Fight League's pre-money implied valuation, based on the conversion price set at a lesser of 20 cents per share, or the 20-day average trading price at the time of the conversion, subject to a floor of 5 cents per share, ranges between $4,693,903,557.45 at the 5-cent floor, and around 18. Oh wait, I thought there was a comma before. Okay, $18 and why is that not that's a fucking period? Are they fucking they're fucking with me, right? Like I think they mean 18,066,000.
Sure.
Okay, whatever.
Oh, they got the punctuation wrong?
Yeah, they got a fucking decimal instead of a comma. At the 20-cent cap, depending on the market conditions at the time of the conversion, this implied valuation is calculated by multiplying the total number of shares outstanding by the price per share. Obviously, it's just telling us how to get their fucking whatever. It's important to note that this is a pre-money implied valuation, meaning it reflects the company's value before any new funds raised in this offering are added. So before they go publicly, this is what they're worth.
They're saying that this is currently what they are worth, based on what?
Correct, exactly. So when they say like, oh, well, at the 5 cent, that's the floor, the 5 cent per share, like this is what we're evaluated at, and it's like, oh, but potentially we could be at the 20 cents per share, and it could be that. It's like, how is 5 cents the floor? How do you have any sense? You're literally giving away the money the more people invest. Like I'm not seeing the math here, but.
I mean, I guess I gotta believe that maybe this is based on their pre-existing investors, i.e., those people that we just looked at the top there, what they're putting into this, I guess. But like, nebulous to be sure. I would need to see something a little bit more concrete than just them saying, "Trust me, bro."
100%. But if you want to look into the discussion really quick, we can. No, there's no comments. Let me see. Maybe I can log in and ask something. Is there a question that we want to ask as a group? I mean, I'll log in and we'll type it out real quick.
Please give me your full investment prospectus, all documentation, and give them your email address. And if they chase part and send you an email with their entire investment documentation full on, then we will, of course, look at it and evaluate as such. And then perhaps Yama Industries becomes the major shareholder of the GFL and we're in business.
100%. But I think this was a lot longer of a discussion than I intended for it to be when it came to the GFL. This was perfect, though. I'm glad that I got onto their site and could look at all the different things, and we can run down so many different avenues of their site, like just, geez,
I mean, look, guys, chat out there, you heard everything now. We ran down the whole thing. Obviously, don't all log on at once, but, form an orderly queue and get yourself over to GFL and fork out as much money as you can, apparently, right? I mean, this is not financial advice, but you saw what we saw.
No, it's not as much money as you can, because after 100,000, you don't get anything. So you ceiling is 100,000. Make sure you get your ball cap, your jersey, your shorts, your sticker packs. Make sure you get your 2 VIP tickets. To be fair, if you want to skimp, I know a lot of people, when it comes to the 100 grand, listen, that's a lot to some people, but if you just get the 50 grand, you're still just going to get your 2 VIP tickets. You'll get your meet and greet with your athletes. You just won't get to take a lap around the cage after every fight. It's weigh your options here. That's the unfortunate thing. And if you really want to break it down, think about it this way. Running around the cage after the fight is worth 50 grand to somebody out there.
Well, and look, if you're really savvy, what you do is you put the 50 grand in, and then you take that additional money, the money that you would be spending that, you're capped off at that 100, and then you use that to buy more merch, to buy more tickets, to buy more flights out to more shows. I mean, you can devote as much of your life to GFL as you want. They're certainly going to allow that.
I am just here for the GFL, and I'm just really happy that we get to keep up with it on the free-for-all, because it is something that I genuinely enjoy talking about, because, brother, they don't know what's going. It's like 7 people have the idea of what's going on here, and they're listening to maybe the 2 people who have never done anything before. They talked about the leaders who have done this before. It's 4 of them, but there's you know how many chairs are at a fucking boardroom table? Like, it's not just 4. Were they going to sit next to each other? No, they sit at the other end of the fucking table, and there's 30 people in suits that line them, and none of them know what's going on. So it just is what it is. Shout out GFL, man.
Shout out to GFL. We will certainly be keeping our eyes on it, and I cannot wait for this to be a major success.
Absolutely. We are going to witness the first GFL event sometime in our life, and I will be here for it.
Absolutely. Whether you get your investment back first, or you get the event, is which comes first, who knows?
Yeah, I'm not going to be the guy to try to say don't invest in this, but I would just personally hate for somebody who, when you invest in something, you want to see your investment come, you want to see the return, you want to visually understand that, oh, I invested in this. I would hate for somebody to be an investor in this with the numbers that they are requesting to continue the operation, and then you are watching the product and you are questioning, where did my investment go? Like, I truly would, bro, when you're talking about $100,000 and you're sitting at home and you're like, oh my God, the GFL, bro, I invested $100,000 into this. And then you watch it and you're like, wasn't I supposed to get 2 VIP tickets? Like, you're sitting at home and like, where the fuck is my jersey?
I just love the idea. No, I love the idea of somebody spending that kind of money and then having the GFL jersey on, glued to the TV. Like, oh my God, it's time. It's finally time. My product is here. And then being like, what the fuck is this? But I don't know. Maybe it's going to be amazing. Like I said, it sounds like they've got so much going with this. They've got such a professional team. This whole thing sounds completely above board. I think that this is going to be a major success, regardless of what the past has shown us.
Yeah, 100%. And it's just, actually, if you want to look at this right here,
I just saw that too. Yeah.
Whoa.
This is to show you how many MMA fans are out there.
Yeah, like, you might, like, did you guys know that the UFC, like, literally the UFC owns Power Slap? That's like 2 billion of those views right there, and like they have that posted on their fucking website. Oh,
right. Again,
this
it's
is
like
UFC right here, 300 million combined audience across UFC social media. You're not the UFC.
I love it. They're selling off of the UFC like everybody else does, and it's just like, bro, why do you think that you're going to get even a fraction of that share based on what you are offering people?
It's just insane, brother. But that is the GFL, and that is the end of the free-for-all for today.
Oh,
man.
my goodness. Yes, it is. So thank you very much for bringing that to the table, Chase. That was certainly enlightening. Guys, that will do it for the free-for-all. As Chase said, we appreciate all you guys hanging out with us for that. Thanks again to Bleeding Edge for the donation. That was very kind of you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and of course, you can catch both myself and Chase on Mondays on our podcast, Last Week's Fight. So we will be back for this week's fights coming up this week. We got a weekend off. I'm sure that myself and Chase will both be doing some more content throughout the week. What's next up for you, Chase?
I think I will be doing UFC BJJ on Saturday is what I'm going to be go ahead and doing.
All right. Well, then there you have that. And I very well might check out that influencer MMA card. I just, I swore I would never do it again, but that was boxing before. So.
Mate, Ray J's on it.
I mean, well, sold, right? Obviously, got to go check out Ray J after that beautiful rear naked choke. So, all right, guys. So yeah, as I said, plenty coming out on the channel at all times. You can find me at youtube.com/@YamaShow. Chase, where can they find you?
They can find me watching people wrestle around on BJJ mats on youtube.com/@CPSmalls, of course.
There you go. @YamaShow on Twitter, Instagram, and on Facebook. Guys, we appreciate you. Thank you for hanging out for the free-for-all. We will catch you in the next one. Have a great rest of your night, a great rest of your week. And as always, fight on.
Peace.